disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing.
Lobito!
You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to another boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. The host, your good friend Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we've got a fantastic one for you. We're gonna be covering the heavyweight extravaganza that took place last night on ESPN. And we're gonna get down to the bottom of things here and figure out what exactly went on with Jared Anderson. I'm gonna try to grade his performance. As you can see, the title of the video is he overhyped? Like I said, we're going to try to figure things out here. We're going to take a couple of phone calls near the end of the hour. We're also going to be talking about Charlo versus Canelo. So we talked a little bit about that on Friday, but we're going to try to take it easy today and try to look at it with a fresher perspective. All right? Or saner, I guess is what I was going for there. Before we do that, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. Although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. Special emojis, badges, the whole shebang. The most important thing is that you continue to like, subscribe, spread that BDA gospel. All right, fellas? We always appreciate your support and your viewership, so shout out to you. And shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about LOD, Reyes, the Quags in the house. Shout out to the Quags. LOD, Dark Hat Doe, the Chitlin distributor. Who else we got here? Hyperspaz, Jump Tube, Earl Stevens in the house. Shout out to him. Alfredo Contreras, the Don, says salute to all my Dons. Right back at you, the Don. Bentley Sports in the house. Gonzalo just renewed his membership program. Shout out to Gonzalo. Many more people to come, I'm sure, here. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Let me call a couple of people, see what we got going on here. And yeah, like I said, when you call in near the end of the hour, one of the big questions is, of course, is he overhyped? But I also want to get your thoughts on a technical perspective. Was Jared Anderson, because I like the fact that he was putting pressure, and I'm going to get to that after people give their opinions. But also, should he have played possum a little bit? Meaning, should he have tried to draw Charles Martin out a little more? We're going to talk about all that. Hold on a second. I'm inviting people here. I don't know if Butch available. Give me 2 seconds here, fellas. 2 seconds. So we got Gonzalo dropping by. That's fantastic. Yeah, where is King Bucho? All right. It's gonna take us to another room here, Gonzalo. Then I gotta share the screen as well here. Who else we got dropping by here? Shadow Combat, Eparokua, Dolomite, Virtuoso, Samuel Petit. All right, we got Gonzalo here. Gonzalo, you there?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. BDA?
Doing fantastic. Hope you're doing fantastic as well. Did you catch any of the fights last night on ESPN?
I caught the highlights. I've been kind of busy, but I did
Oh,
watch the highlights.
Wait a minute.
I did watch the highlights, though.
Gonna have to kick you out, man. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, you want to give us?
Hey, I just became a loyal member.
I know.
Always been a loyal member.
Now I know why you did that. Yeah. No, but okay. Well, give.
But to kick me out when I put one foot in the door.
Exactly. Yeah. No, okay, but listen. Well, based on what you saw from the highlights, you didn't get a chance to watch the fight yet. But based on what you saw, what you think?
Okay, about a year ago, I mentioned when Jared Anderson fought, maybe less than that he throws straight punches. And when I was reflecting on that, when I was watching the fight, okay, he does throw straight punches, but when he's throwing the straight punches, it's almost like his mind is thinking too much of the offensive perspective of throwing the straight that he don't know how to pull back or get out of the way of the shots coming the opposite way. It's like he can't move his waist. So he's like offensive minded and can't really think offense and defense at the same time. So he was getting clipped. He was getting clipped by ex-world champion Charles Martin.
Ex-world champion.
Yeah, I walked the world like a god. Right, and Charles Martin was throwing some sloppy punches. It could have been either that or it was one or two things. He was throwing punches where Jared Anderson was going to end up not where he was necessarily at the moment, but as the action continued, where he was thinking he was going to be at like 1 moment later. So he's catching him with some left hooks. And there was something that I noticed because going forward, like you always mentioned, BDA, it might be one of those things that there's levels. Okay, he's good. He looked good before in his prior fight, but as soon as he starts going up the totem pole, the next level up is going to make him look a little less than stellar. And so I think it was one of those things that he was throwing, Charles Martin was throwing these white punches. You know, him being an ex-world champion, obviously he got experience. And then white punches are catching him where he was going to end up 1 moment later. And there's something to notice because moving forward, he could very well get caught by another fighter that's better when that other fighter sets traps, right? He could be vulnerable to the traps.
Yeah, that's always the thing going into a fight is after a performance like this, you got to wonder, how's he going to handle somebody that's going to throw him more curveballs? Because here's the thing, though. Charles Martin, he's not that. He's like, the title of the video is Jared Anderson overhyped? Is he an Ameribomb? I'm not quite prepared to call him an Ameribomb, but I will use that label for Charles Martin. I mean, his defense is sloppy. His offense is sloppy. He leans in too much when he punches. All he has is really a 1-2. His jab doesn't even really, it's non-existent. He has no right hook. And he's essentially Deontay Wilder minus the speed and a little less power. I mean, he's an
great point, PD.
He's trash. Martin is trash, and the fact that, well, listen. Let me give you my analysis of this, if I may. And I'm going to start with the good, the positive. I like the fact that Jared Anderson took the fight to Martin. He didn't step back, he didn't bang, one shot at a time, pot shot. He's not a back foot bitch. So I give him points for trying to put on a show. I also like the fact that he went to the body. I'm a body punching guy. I love me some body punching, and I don't think enough heavyweights go to the body. I think it would pay dividends. And so I like the fact that he was going to the body. The problem when he went to the body was that it was mostly as a setup for his offense upstairs. He wasn't really digging in to the body to try to wear Charles Martin down. I think he would have been well served to do that. So again, I give him points for trying and coming forward. That being said, you can give him points for trying, but you cannot give him points for technical ability. I mean, this dude, like you said, he leans back. Everybody saw it. He leans back. I mean, just straight back. Not even rolling with the shots. He just leans back against straight shots. His punch technique ain't all that great. His arsenal isn't all that great. His ability to cut off the ring ain't that great either. He couldn't finish a guy that Anthony Joshua finished in less than 2 rounds. And a guy that Luis Ortiz, 50-year-old Luis Ortiz, who was having heart palpitations going into the ring against Charles Martin, he managed to stop Martin. So the fact that this dude who, and let's face the fact, that's one of the things I always ask people, and we talk about this on the show. What's the meaning of overhyped? Because obviously the promoter is supposed to hype his fighter up. So that's, I give him a little slack. But when you got the whole network, ESPN, that corporate machine, and you got fans saying, oh, Jared Anderson, the next best thing at heavyweight, the next American heavyweight. He didn't really quite cut the mustard here. And, that's the other thing is people say, well, Charles Martin was a late replacement. Well, like somebody said in the chat, Anderson was training for a southpaw. It's not like he completely threw him off for a loop. And apparently, Charles Martin, again, he came into this 18 days notice. I think he'd been training, but when he got the call, he was on the couch watching Martin reruns. And again, this is a guy that'd been stopped before. So Gonzalo, again, there were some things I liked from Jared Anderson. The fact that he's aggressive and he tries to make the fight happen. He's not a back foot bitch. But, if he wants to fight the Joyces, the Zhangs, even the Coffees. Remember that? I think that was the dude, right? Coffee? He's the one that upset that other undefeated dude. And then he just recently defeated an undefeated Italian guy, I think. I think those would be good litmus tests. Maybe like a Carlos Takam. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Those are tougher guys. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe more hungry than Martin because he's got a couple losses now. And, yeah, we're going to find out. When you mentioned that he leans in, you were talking about Jared Anderson, right? The real big baby.
Both guys, sir.
So the thing when he leans in, do you think that takes the ability for to lean out, to step out, or get out of the way because he's so focused on throwing the straight punches coming forward that he doesn't have the wrinkle to think defense at the same time as he's trying to lean in to throw offense? I'm thinking that's one of those things. Maybe his brain is not wired to have that extra wrinkle right now. He's just so concerned about doing one thing, and that's going to get him into trouble. Because Charles Martin saw that, and that's why I think he was throwing the looping. And it wasn't that he was sloppy. He's like, this dude's coming straight at me. I'm gonna try to throw a curveball, like you said, around the bend and catch him where he's not seeing me, because this guy's obviously too focused on one thing that he's not he doesn't have that he's not what do you call it when you can do two things at one time? He can multitask. He cannot multitask. Yes. Yeah. So he's so focused on the offense, I think, Charles Martin. And the thing with the body, BDA, I agree. That's a good thing. He goes to the body, but with the heavyweights, and I mentioned it, I heard some other people talking about it too. You rarely see the knockouts with the heavyweights because obviously they got muscle too, but then they got that extra layer of blubber. That very rarely do you see the heavyweights getting knocked out like the featherweights or the lightweights to the body, or even the middleweights. So if he goes with that mentality, offense only, can multitask and can't lean back or get out of the way, then he goes to the body. He's gonna get caught with a straight punch coming back down his way as well by a heavyweight. So that's why I was thinking maybe I'm not saying that it's always gonna happen, but maybe in one fight he gets caught with one punch, and that's the punch that takes him out. Then we'll be talking about it. We'll be talking about it later.
Well, that's the other thing, though. Okay, well, first of all, in the people in the chat, like for example, Ghost is saying he moves back in straight lines when he's leaning in. Leaning in isn't his only problem. Meanwhile, Shadow Combat says, plus, isn't Anderson supposed to be a great switch hitter? Stances shouldn't matter. Though it's funny, he fought in Orthodox most of his fight, probably because that's his real stance. Yeah, I'm confused. I thought that was his real stance. I thought Orthodox was his actual stance. And that's the thing, though, Gonzalo, because, I forgot to mention, giving people the build-up to the fight. Again, Jared Anderson did outwork Charles Martin. He did come forward and try to make the fight happen, but he seemed unable to pin down Charles Martin. And Charles Martin wasn't running. He was moving a lot, but he was doing controlled moving. The other thing is, even though Jared Anderson dropped Martin actually hurt him 2 rounds later, or 1 round or 2 rounds later, and then he consistently lined him up with that left hand, cracked him flush. And that's the other problem, Gonzalo. When these guys lean back and then they get caught, their head and their whole body gets snapped back, so it looks really dramatic. It looks as if they're hurt, and the judges really look at that. So like when you were saying, how's he going to react against a better opponent? Those are some of the things that might cost him in a tight fight if he goes to the wire, and he's getting his whole fucking body snapped back, and the other guy isn't. So judges go, oh, okay, his opponent's the one landing the cleaner shots. So that's definitely another reason why he should remedy that.
Yeah, I could already see the remix, or what you call when they make another song about, based off an old song. Remember the one that Fat Joe did on Roy Jones' Lean Back Part 2? When the mirror bump gets exposed.
But a lot of these Afro-Anglo fighters do that. They do the lean back, and you're not supposed to do it, man. At worst, you're supposed to lean to the side, to your right, if you're an orthodox, roll with the shot, and then once you turn your feet inward, then you can lean back away from the right hands. Coffee is a guy that does that very well. I think that's his name, by the way. What's his name? Let me check.
Michael Coffey, maybe Michael Coffey. John Coffey was the one from the Green Mile. He was pretty tough too. Rest in peace.
I'm talking about.
I think Michael Coffey.
I think that's the name, right? Michael Polite Coffee. I can't. Oh, it's because I'm writing coffee as in like the drink. I think that's not how you write his name. But yeah, but Gonzalo, that's the other thing though is so Martin actually ended up hurting. What's his name? He ended up hurting Jared Anderson, and then he hurt him in the last 10 seconds as well. Badly hurt. By the way, the guy I'm talking about, Jonathan Rice, he beat Coffey, who was undefeated at the time, and then he beat Guido Vianello, or Vianello, Italian dude. But he got stopped by Makhmudov, who also fought last night. We'll get back to him. But okay, so Gonzalo, looking at the heavyweight landscape out there, we've got Jalalov, who apparently was signed by Top Rank, so he'll be fighting under the Top Rank banner very, very soon. Top Rank also has Torres Jr. in there. What do you think should be next for Jared Anderson?
Well, the guys that you just mentioned would be probably like the guys next up in the pecking order. Mm-hmm. To get more exposure, but those guys are seeming a little too dangerous because this guy obviously and funny BDA, he was actually doing an interview with the original lean back dude, Roy Jones. I just thought about that.
That's true.
Crazy because I'm thinking, what's the next step forward? So the next step forward is he need to figure that shit out, man. He need to not be so front foot heavy or committed on not having the right balance to lean back or learn how to like create some separation, not be too committed on with the offense, or some balance, at least some balance and some waist movement. Why not? Will that take away from your ability to throw the straight punches? Like I mentioned before, some of the Europeans, just to like make a quick example, how sometimes they're like up and down, but it gives them the ability to throw straight punches. Like Tim Tszyu, for example, they can throw real good straight punches. And I mentioned that about Jared Anderson. He tries to throw them down the middle, but at the same time, that's keeping you too tense in that spot. So I think he need to work on that balance. I wish he can hear me, or somebody that can notice that, hey, don't be so committed to staying in the line like you mentioned that somebody said in the comments. Exactly. So that's one thing that if somebody's aware of that, they could capitalize on. And I think that somehow, Charles Martin knew something about that. Because his game plan was, if you said he rolled off the couch, was just look to get one shot in every now and then. And it was working for him. And that's why he was going and throwing them white hooks. Because, like, obviously, this dude's coming straight at me. I'm going to fucking try to get an angle over here and catch him where he's going to be at a moment later rather than where he's at and necessarily like, right in that moment. But then I'm gonna set a little trap for him. And it almost worked. He almost pulled out he hurt him a few times.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Now, that's the other thing, though, Gonzalo. Some people were saying that Martin could have stopped him at will, but that he took the pedal off the metal because he'd been, the fix was in. Now, that's something that people, boxing, look, fights can be fixed and fighters can take dives, but I don't think it was necessary in this scenario because Charles Martin is trash. And I rarely call a fighter trash, but Charles Martin really is trash. I mean, he's got some athleticism and he's got some power and he's been able to really milk that and extrapolate that for all it's worth. And that's the other thing, though. During the telecast, when Jared Anderson was doing well in the first 3 rounds, and it looked like he was going to be whitewashing Martin, the commentator said, wow, he's pushing back a former world champion. And I'm thinking, come on. Let's stop with the fucking... He had a strap for a while, which he lost right away in under 2 rounds against Anthony Joshua. A strap like that. First of all, we got four titles now, because the WBO counts now. It didn't used to count before. Now all of a sudden, it's one of the major titles. You need to have 4 titles to be undisputed. And then you get the super version of the WBA, plus the WBC, they have the interim version too. So you got 6 titles floating around. Reminds me of like when the Vatican, back in Martin Luther's day, when you could actually buy your way into heaven. They would give you those little papers that, oh yeah, you paid enough, yeah, okay, you bought your piety, you can go to heaven. So anybody can get it. It's worthless. It's been watered down. So fuck the titles, man. This guy was no champ. You guys, remember how Charles Martin won his title? His opponent slipped on a banana peel or something, pulled a groin muscle and couldn't continue. Well, he didn't pull a groin muscle, but I think he had to fucking tore his knee ligament or something. But the point remains, I think it was at the 4th round or something. The guy didn't win a title, and then he lost it right away against Anthony Joshua. So, and by the way, that also lets you know Anthony Joshua is maligned. People call him, he sucks, he's robotic, blah, blah, blah. Well, it just goes to show you there's levels to this. He took care of business in under 2 rounds. This motherfucker went 10 rounds and got hurt twice and was flailing at the wind. So, just goes to show you, right, Gonzalo?
Yeah, that's right, BD. And I'm thinking now, as you're speaking, I'm thinking this is the thing. Okay, he gets heavy on the front foot, or even like the trail when he throws that trail hand. He stays in a straight line. So I'm gonna say he punches hard, but he's not necessarily a puncher. He gets the most out of his frame by throwing a good pair of straight punches. Right, set it up with the jab and then the right hand. He gets the most out of what he has. But like if he were to get a little bit like not so heavy on the feet and basically move, I think he has the ability to move, but that means he's gonna punch less harder. And he doesn't want to do that. He's going in there to hurt you. And when he's getting in that position, that's why he's getting caught. The feet a little bit like too stuck on the mud. And so I'm thinking, look, if Charles Martin been dropped before by the likes of some other fighters, Jared Anderson dropped him, and he was thinking about stopping him by throwing the best heavy shots that he could possibly throw, by throwing them correctly. But by him doing that, he limited his offense, basically sticking to the 2 punches that I mentioned, and more so the trail hand, the one that he's turning over. Even Bradley said, oh, he didn't get a chance to turn that punch over. And if he would have turned it over, he would have caught him. Because I saw that on the highlights. It's true. But that's the only thing he's limited to doing, because he want to go in there and do that only. So that means that, like I said, he can't multitask because he doesn't have those wrinkles, because he's afraid that's going to take away from the power that he does have, but limited to what I just explained. I'm thinking, BD.
No, you're right. And that's the other thing, though, is you talked about him boxing. That's why I asked people in the beginning is maybe he should have guarded Martin in a little bit instead of pressing so much, because there's work. He has to work on being able to cut the ring off, and he was flailing at the winder at times, trying to get at Charles Martin. But when he dropped him, it was when Charles Martin overcommitted with, like I said, that long left hand. I mean, if you look at every time Martin, if he landed, good for him. But if he missed, he was completely out of balance. And that's how Anderson dropped him when he was from the southpaw stance. So maybe he should have made Martin go to him a little bit. Also, I want to address something here from the comments here. We got, people are saying, open up the phone lines. We're going to open them soon. Very, very soon, a couple of minutes. Samuel J. Forsyth said, Anderson is very young. He will have to face adversity like he did in this fight. He showed he can handle top-tier fighters, and he will not quit. What the fuck else do fans want? Well, like I said in the beginning of the show, you can give him points for trying. And like I said, I give him points for trying to make the fight happen, meaning he wasn't back foot bitching it. He wasn't throwing one punch at a time. He was really, he did his best to try to get Martin out of there. But just because a guy tried doesn't mean he's free of criticism. I mean, the criticism here is that he's got a lot of work to do on his technique, his combination punching, his defense. I mean, the fact that he couldn't stop a guy that's been stopped twice previously, once under 2 rounds against Joshua and another time by Luis Ortiz, who's a 50-year-old guy. And he was having heart palpitations going into the ring. I mean, come on, there's got to be, if you can give him points for trying, you can also give him or take points away looking at it objectively for the things he didn't do well. And, again, the big question is he being overhyped? I think the answer is a little bit. Or a lot, rather, because they were trying to make this guy out. I mean, they were putting Torres in the back burner. ESPN has been putting him in the back burner for a while, even though he's scoring sensational knockouts, albeit against limited opposition, but scoring sensational one-punch knockouts, and they put him to the side and they really tried to prop up Jared Anderson. So would it be fair to say that he was overhyped?
I'm thinking, yeah. Like I'm saying, like I was mentioning, BDA. I don't know. I'm not even assuming. I suspect that he's gonna end up getting clipped because he commits to that the style of the 1-2, basically the 2, and the whole thing, BDA, about switching. Somebody said that he switch hits. I don't care. Like if you're real good. This is my opinion. Like even like a Terrence Crawford, you're always gonna be weaker on one side. It's hard enough already, like trying to line up one guy in with one stance when you're facing fighters with different dimensions. That if you try to pick them off in the opposite stance, then maybe the first one is you're stronger. You're gonna try to figure out different opponents that line up in different distances just the same. So it's not like, oh, he just switch hits and he's always gonna switch it and knock it out of the park because he's a good switch hitter. No, you got to line people up with different dimensions and different and different lengths and different sizes, and dimensions. So that's kind of like a task of its own, right? So that's a lot to ask. And when you're this green and you can't basically figure out like in one stance, let alone 2, I mean, you need to like go and work in the gym, but specify certain things and develop those. So it's kind of like hard to like really pick out what's the problem here, but obviously something is missing. He's getting too caught in one role against a guy that basically, like you said, got off the couch and had a game plan, but there's going to be guys that are going to bring different levels. So I'm thinking it was one of the two. He's overhyped, or he just needs more of a developmental process since he's 23 years old, and they need to give him some time.
Well, absolutely, yeah, that's a given. They need to give him some time. And listen, like the Rolling Stones song, time is on his side. Now, you were talking about his next opponent, and here's what we get. Apparently, he will be fighting the guy he was supposed to fight last night. He's going to be taking on that dude on August the 26th. Now, this Kozobutsky guy, he's a southpaw. He comes forward. Contrary to both guys that we saw last night, he does keep his hands up. But here's the good news for Jared Anderson. The guy that he's going to be fighting next is 34 years old. And even though he keeps his hands up pretty well, his chin is up in the air. So there's going to be opportunities for Anderson to display his power in that one. He's going to have to watch out, though, because Kozobutsky goes to the body. You heard me say that I'm a big body punching fan. This guy, and we were talking about how much many heavyweights don't go to the body. This guy goes to the body, and he goes down to the body with mean intentions. I can't remember the last time I saw a guy. Maybe the last guy who really went down to the body that much was Dylan White, Derek Chisora. But this guy really plans his feet. So I think that fight's going to be a lot more interesting. And it's going to be a good opportunity for Jared Anderson to maybe, like you said, Gonzalo, fight off the back foot. Because Kozobutsky is going to bring it. And, the names that could come out of that one, or after that fight, people in the chat mentioned Jonathan Rice. Now, Jonathan Rice, he's better than Charles Martin. He's a little bit more control with his movement. He's very good at leaning away from shots. Very tricky, frustrates guys. And then he can crack a little bit too on top of that. So that would be a difficult fight. There's Takam afterwards. if he can get past it. The one that I don't think they should put him in there against is Martin Bakoli. Because Bakoli is fucking 6 feet 6 inches tall, so he would be bigger than Anderson. He's already pulled off the upset against Tony Yoka. He's a big dude. He's like a fucking... He's like a big tire, just moving forward, like a big truck tire, just coming forward. Shots bounce off him, a little bit like Joey. So I don't know if Anderson would be ready for him yet. But again, time is on his side. So we'll see what happens with that one. Gonzalo, the other guy that fought last night, I don't know if you managed to catch the highlights for that one as well, was Makhmudov. This dude looks like he just crawled out of a cave. And he fights like it too. And he fought, who did he fight again? I forget the guy's name. Undefeated Nigerian fighter, Rafael Akbejori. Yeah, undefeated, but if you watch his previous fights on YouTube, you knew that there was a little chance for him to win the fight. And Makhmudov just scored some hellacious uppercuts and ended up stopping him in the second round. Gonzalo, this dude stopped the aforementioned Jonathan Rice. Did you manage to catch the highlights for this one?
I did, but I just watched them. So
what do you think? He got a little wild in there.
He's a beast, yeah.
Yeah, but he got a little wild.
He's pretty fucking scary. You know, he's a killer. He does a little Canelo thing. Well, Canelo does a little bit. He's a smaller dude, no, but this guy does what Canelo does. He puts his gloves together, and then he bounces forward. Takes like these little mini steps to like gain momentum, but basically like understanding how to like get his range in order to land that big sledgehammer. And then when he catches you, he's following up somewhat like I'm gonna jump to another fighter, a Better Beef with the heavy shots. There, for a heavy-handed dude, he wings them. Like he tries to get as much speed as I'm not saying that he's explosive, but it's traveling like fucking heavy in the air, and it's not necessarily fast, but it's not slow either. You could actually see the heaviness in the punch. If you could, if that's even a thing. I just noticed it. Like, man, what the fuck, dude? That shit's crazy, dude. And I was like, man, that dude's fucking scary. Like, really. Yeah, he's impressive. That uppercut is short too. Going back to Better Beef, the uppercut going up is tricky thing. Like it's a tricky punch, like Thor's hammer, but facing up.
Like Thor's hammer, yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, look, one of the things that I'm interested in Makhmudov is, again, people you can catch. I don't even know if I should say where you can catch it because maybe they take it down, but they rarely do take him down from that site. Daily Motion. Right, Makhmudov versus Jonathan Rice, Daily Motion, and you can catch the fight. That the quality is not the greatest, very grainy, but you can essentially see Makhmudov really having to work against a guy that was moving a lot, rolling with the shots, rolling away from the right hand, and he ended up stopping him. So, like Gonzalo said, unrefined, he should still work on some things, even though he's already 34 years old, I think. He's already 34, which again, in heavyweight terms, these guys age better. They got more time. They can fight longer than the smaller guys. And so maybe that's why Jared Anderson too has a chance. But by the way, we forgot to talk about it. Gonzalo, Jared Anderson was doing the Top Rank preview video with Roy Jones, like you mentioned, and he was crying, talking to the third person. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. I'm not going to jump the gun and say that he's got mental issues, because we already saw what happened with Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, that the mental issues cost him the Kambosos fight. But then he was able to get through that and overcome that against Josh Taylor. So I said, let's see what happens with Jared Anderson. But he essentially admitted that boxing, his heart's not all the way in there. He was crying during the telecast. And then after the fight, he was crying too. He was spotted crying. So what do you think about that? Are we making too much of or are people making too much of his mental stability? Or is that something that we should keep an eye on?
Not sure. He's only 23 years of age, and I didn't get a chance to watch the entire thing, but I did see something about when was this? During the interview, Bernardo Osuna was interviewing him after the fight, and he said something about like he got so used to being in his hometown of Toledo, Ohio, then he realized that the world was bigger than Toledo. So I don't know, maybe, he does get into his feelings a little bit, but it's one of those things, it's a different generation. and it's harder to really say, what goes through a person's mind, through a man's mind. They do call him Big Baby Miller, no, the real Big Baby. So obviously he's gonna fucking cry every now and then, right?
Yeah, that's the joke people. That's the joke people were making there about Big Baby Anderson. But listen, hey, the time is on his side as long as he doesn't implode. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because listen, this heavyweight division. People were saying for a while, man, what the fuck is up with the heavyweight division? Tyson Fury seems to be stalling. Usyk's getting older. Joshua, another guy that seems to have done it all and seems to be getting tired a little bit of the boxing world. What's going to happen? Joseph Parker's on the way out. Zhang is old. So is Joey. So what's going to happen? Well, like we said, Torres is still in there. Jalalov just got signed by Top Rank. We got Makhmudov in there. I mean, the heavyweight division is starting to get a little bit of fresh blood. Even though some of those guys aren't that young, it's starting to look interesting. Gonzalo, what do you think about that?
I think so too, BD, and it's one of those things that how people often say that the heavyweights age slower. So sometimes maybe they're around longer, and in every division, like every 2 to 3, maybe about every 18 months to 24 months, you get like a reshuffling of the cards. You get new blood, like you mentioned, and a lot of these guys. I mean, how long we been on? They've been on for a while now. These heavyweights, like for 4 or 5 years, some longer. Then before that, you had the Vladimir Klitschko's of the world. So obviously, yeah, they're, like you said, they might be getting tired of the bullshit. Some guys are not even fighting. So obviously, some dudes are gonna step up and take their place, and it's one of those things. I mean, the dude's 23; he's got a long time. Look, that's 20 years, possibly. That if they select the right opponents, and I know that's not a popular thing to say, because who's gonna really want to watch somebody get marinated and get opponents selected for him real carefully, and that would be Top the both. That here we are, we got 20 years to kill and see where he goes. Fuck that. I don't want to be one of those, but yeah, it's like it's putting too much interest on one guy's career. I want to see him fight fucking tomorrow or like the next time against a tough dude.
Well,
but yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's gonna be a change pretty soon. Changing of the guard. Right now, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, he's gonna be returning on. We're talking about Anderson. He's gonna be returning on in August against a guy that can crack a little bit, who's going to be coming forward. He's 34, so he's likely to have some wear and tear, and it might be in Jared Anderson's best interest to take that fight seriously and look better than he did last night. We shall see. We shall see indeed. Now, what else was we going to say? So we had Makhmudov. Abdullah Mason also got a win, but I mean, the guy he was fighting was so horrible. It's hard to extrapolate too much from that fight. Hey, by the way, Gonzalo, did you hear Andrew Ward? Apparently his contract's not being renewed. ESPN, by the way, they also fired Max Kellerman. They're doing a lot of revamping over there, so no more Max Kellerman, Gonzalo, no more Andrew Ward. What are your thoughts on that?
That's crazy. Max Kellerman, I thought they had him in the back, like shuffling some papers, like in the corner, like the dude from the movie. Remember that dude? Where's my stapler?
Yeah, Office Space. Yeah.
Office Space. Yeah. And he came on real quickly, and they kicked him out. He must have said something stupid. Like I don't know. That's weird.
I mean,
he didn't get no airtime really.
If anybody cares about my opinion, is he was always overpaid. I mean, I still can't understand that. JumpTube says Max is coming to BDA. From what I hear, don't believe me, man. If we first of all we could even afford him, we wouldn't pay for that because. Look, I appreciate that Kellerman likes the sport of boxing. He seems to be passionate about it, but for him, it was just an avenue to become something. He wanted to be He wanted to be a rapper. Then he wanted to be a script writer. And then he just fell upon boxing. He, like Jimmy said a while back, he's got some top-notch agents. We're talking Hollywood grade A agents. And that's how he was able to go. I always wonder how he went from ESPN in the late 90s to early 2000s. Then all of a sudden he went to Fox Sports. And I think he took Rich Morata's spot, just kicked him off. And from that he goes to HBO. Oh, no, excuse me. When he went to ESPN, he took Al Bernstein's spot. Al Bercy used to work for ESPN, if I remember correctly. Then he goes to Fox Sports, replaces Rich Morata, get the fuck out of here. Then the HBO, hey, Larry Merchant, get the fuck out of here. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back. People were complaining. I complained on the message board saying, "What the fuck? I don't want to see Kellerman replace Larry Merchant with the." And so they compromised on the network. They said, "Okay, we'll keep Larry Merchant for certain telecasts, and we'll start introducing Max Kellerman little by little. You know, like poison. When you inject yourself a little cobra poison to try to get acclimated to it and to build immunity to it. That's what they did with Max Kellerman. Till finally they wholly replaced him. And then what happens? HBO goes under and whoops, he finds another home in ESPN again. So, yeah, believe me, this guy was being overpaid. It was mostly contacts more than his actual ability. Gonzalo, you were going to say something?
No, it's just funny that you say that because I was thinking like the whole time, like he's intelligent, but the thing that might be getting him into problems is that he might be a little bit of a snake, a two-face. And when you said the poison thing, it might be one of those things. He's really a fucking snake because he's intelligent, and that's why he might have gotten into trouble.
I mean, listen, it's a good life if you can get it, to be able to have that type of Hollywood agent and to get jobs on a whim. Especially now with the internet, from what I understand, I think he's going to be doing the Tucker Carlson thing. He's going to be starting his own platform on the internet, or his own show, rather. Maybe on YouTube or something. I mean, look, Teddy Atlas did it. He just started a channel, and based on his name, boom, instant subscribers. Same thing with Mike Tyson a while back. So I think Kellerman's going to be okay. Don't worry about him. He'll be all right. Trust me.
He's good, BD. He's good. He's good. But what I'm thinking that he uses a lot of cliches, and I don't know how original he is really. He's a smart dude that can like cater to maybe the casuals, and he's gonna sound great, and they're gonna chalk that shit up. But to like the real hardcore, it's gonna be missing like the whole like he really means it type of thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's one thing that we don't often get nowadays: authenticity. So it's one of those things. He's too scripted, BDA, in my opinion, right?
I agree with you, Gonzalo. I agree with you. He was always trying to be Larry Merchant light, and it just wasn't working. Then I hated the fact that he's the guy that started the whole trend on HBO of referring to fighters on a first name basis, especially with Andre Ward, whom he loved Andre Ward, which is quite interesting, by the way. It's ironic that both of them were let go in the same round of layoffs. They're both going down with the ship, holding hands like the Titanic. And he's the one that started referring to fighters on a first name basis on HBO. Andre. No, you're supposed to be professional. Refer to the guy as Ward, like Andre. So I mean, call him Dre at this point, if you're so chummy with him. And they would do that, and for a while there, he would always bring up like Kovalev. When Kovalev was fighting, Kellerman would bring up the fact that, hey, Andre, when you beat Kovalev, oh my God, every time Kovalev fought, he had to remind people that Andre Ward beat him. Yeah, I mean that's essentially what it was, man. There was something. I hate to be immature, but it seemed to be something sexual going on there. The fascination he had with Andre Ward. Disturbing. Disturbing to say the least, let me tell you.
This is an ass I can deal with.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's essentially what it was. Timothy Bradley apparently is going to stay in the fold, so we'll see what happens there.
That's
now,
cool.
Gonzalo.
With Andre Ward, BD, I do have to say this. I thought he was a really, really good commentator. Aside from his actual like fighting career, well, this is something else, right? There's much to be said about that. I mean, obviously, he was a world champion. He retired undefeated, whatever. Now, it's not even about breaking that down. His commentator career, I thought he was a pretty good commentator. Not perfect, obviously, but who is? Nobody's perfect except our Lord Jesus Christ.
Exactly. No, there you go. Shout out to Jesus, especially on a Sunday. Now, Andre Ward and Tim Bradley, they wore their biases on their sleeves. I mean, it was apparent who they were rooting for. There's a certain narrative there. We know who they're rooting for, and it's plain to see. And if you really need to be reminded about it, I mean, I guess you haven't been paying attention to the telecast, because it's quite clear what's going on there.
Baby, be black. Oh,
Yeah.
be black, baby, be black.
Was that Gasol?
And it was funny. I did think he sometimes injected himself in the fights, like referring to like specifically like the body punching, like the dog. Like sometimes it's okay to like rough another dude up when the going gets tough, kind of like he did to justify his own career and the tough moments, kind of like what he did, and kind of like attach himself, justify. And I don't know, it's just making himself look good at the same time. But I just thought that was kind of funny because, like, here we go again. But that was about it.
I tell you what I did like though. I like when Tim Bradley and Andrew Ward would disagree, and they would go back and forth a little bit because it's a different dynamic than most broadcasting teams. Usually they have the blow-by-blow announcer, the expert commentator, and then the color commentator. These telecasts on ESPN, they had two expert commentators. So sometimes the two guys would disagree. Actually, scratch that. PBC had a similar arrangement when they had Lennox Lewis, who's horrible, by the way. I mean, he makes Andrew Ward look like, and Timothy Bradley sound like Roy Jones. Nevertheless, they had Lennox Lewis and Joe Goosen, and they were always at each other's throats. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they switch it up in this one. Maybe they'll just have two commentators. It could be
one of those things too, VDA, that two color commentators.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
And not just because they're black or anything.
That's what I was going to say.
But they were. Well, also maybe Joe Tessitore was like, hey, what about me? But anyways, like these two, like if they were fanboying for an American, maybe in their minds they're thinking, hey, Tim, you got to slow it down because I'm really like... I'm really trying to prop this black American fighter up, and that means that I gotta calm down because we're gonna sound like real fanboys if both of us get on the same bandwagon. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm, it's like one of those things. Two color commentators like that.
Yeah, it's true. It's a weird dynamic because essentially they're at odds with each other. I mean, it's inevitable. Maybe that's the way they wanted it. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what happens with ESPN. We'll see if ESPN even stays in the boxing business. Because from what Steve Kim told us a while back, a couple of weeks ago, that that deal ain't looking good. And Rick Glaser said, though, no, not Rick Glaser, Mirigan, who called in 2 weeks ago, said that everything's hunky-dory with ESPN. There's no problem. So hopefully this whole round of layoffs means that they're just cutting the cost like everybody else. Paramount is looking to get rid of boxing from Showtime. The Zone is upping the subscription. So... that's why it's getting hard to be a boxing fan now. Shout out to Chris K, by the way, for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, Anderson dipping like he picking up a quarter. I mean, at least he didn't touch the canvas, though. And he got the win. But the way some fight... Look, I gave him his props, but I also pointed out the deficiencies that everybody else pointed out in the chat as well. But it seems like some people, a minority of people, don't want us to mention that. It's almost like they just want us to ignore the context and just focus on what BoxRec says, which is he won the fight. I mean, that's not how it works, man. Sorry. Shout out to One Foot Out the Door, by the way, for reestablishing his membership program as well. Shout out to One Foot Out the Door. And he says backing up in a straight line is eventually going to cost Jared Anderson. Absolutely. But look, listen, if we all saw it, the commentators saw it, they saw it. Anderson's team. So... I'm pretty sure they're going to try to remedy that. Now, whether they can do it or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's because he's not even like he's really backing up entirely. He's just taking like a half step back, or basically just pulling back with the waist. He could also like maybe try to pull all the way back and do kind of like this is the one instance that I would say maybe he tried that, like the shoulder roll, to try to pick up, catch and shoot. And really, like, think in his mind, okay, I got to be defensive too, and I got to think one step ahead. It's not always me going heavy on the front foot and trying to land a heavy punch, but kind of like, just have that presence of mind to where I can take a step back and catch you coming in.
Exactly, man, exactly. And that's the other thing is, the fact that Hawker Mustang said some people are actually picking Jared Anderson against Usyk and Joshua. He's like, come on, man. That's why I always tell people, hold your horses when it comes to these prospects. Let's see them fight a guy that can take a punch, that can punch back, that can show him angles, combinations, feints, what Gonzalo talked about, not being there, not giving him a clear target. Can the prospect create a target and get the job done? And so that's, at least we saw Jared Anderson has the tools to win a decision. But the fact he could stop a guy that had been stopped previously by a 55-year-old grandpa and by Anthony Joshua in under 2 rounds, it's a little concerning. Shout out to Jaden Anthony, who says, man's 8 fights in and people are disowning him. Sad. See, again, people don't listen to what people are saying. They just hear the criticism, which is, if people disagree with the criticism, let us know what they disagree with and counter it. But just saying, oh, you're criticizing him, therefore you're bad. You just want to ignore the context of the fight? That's insanity. I think some fans out there are too emotionally invested in their fighters. By the way, Shadow Combat says he's 15 fights in. So again, see, people don't know what they're talking about either. Anyway, Gonzalo, we're going to open on the phone lines. But in the meantime, I also want to talk about something that you were there on the last Friday show. But I had to dip out, and I suspect as Friday's show goes, you didn't get a chance to talk to say everything that you wanted to say about the fight that was announced on Friday, which is Saul Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion, is going to be taking on Jermell Charlo, the super welterweight undisputed champion, who's going to be moving up. That fight is going to be taking place in September. Gonzalo, what do you think about that fight?
Yeah, I dipped out early too. I was busy. I listened to about a quarter of the show, and I haven't really watched too much of any other channel speak about it. Just a little bit, because I don't want to get too informed of the different perspective when there's no real. Because this is a curveball, BDA, so it really threw people for a loop. It's hard to think of one thing clearly why it's happening, and people are maybe getting into their feelings, they're rationalizing why, and they don't understand. So that's what I've noticed. So it's to keep a clear head. It's all right, I'm not going to delve too much into the gossip. But now that it's a reality, what can I say? Hey, man. Okay, I was thinking objectively. Okay, if the fight's one guy's 154 and the other guy's 168, you meet in the middle. Each guy drops. One guy goes up 6 and the other guy drops 6. You meet in the middle at 162. Okay, now what would that mean? I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. That's why I couldn't speculate too much, because we don't know that as of now. But this is what I'm saying. Right. Look, everything above 154, you're not fighting for Charlo's belts anymore, and I don't think Canelo can make 154. Everything above 154.1, Charlo's belts are out of the question, and I don't think Canelo can go down that much. But the super middleweight limit is not 168. That's the limit. I'm saying super middleweight is 160 to 168. So you could be weighing 161 and bam, you're already fighting for the super middleweight titles. And if they meet halfway, one guy goes up and the other comes halfway down. That would be Canelo going down and Charlo moving up. You fight anything above 160, 161. Now Canelo's titles are into contention. And since Canelo can't go down to 154, 139.9, he wouldn't be fighting for that. That's out of the question. That would be crazy. And if he did, what would people think? That's something unreal. Now, I do think if they're making the fight, it's obviously going to be for some titles. They got to give the other guy a chance, because obviously when he blows up, when he fights at super welter, obviously that's on the scale. But when he's fighting other guys, he blows up. For the fight, obviously he's a big dude. He's 5'11". He's already weighing 162. So he basically could do what Canelo did against Kovalev, where he didn't even lift the weights the first time around, where he just walks in at his walk-around weight, and he's going to be 162 just like that. Mm-hmm. So obviously, this is what I'm thinking. I'm most absolutely sure that the Canelo's titles will be on the line, because he will be above 160. It will be 161 or 162 if they meet down the middle. That's for sure. That's not a hearsay. That's a fact, BD. That's a fact.
You're right. And I was talking about that with Don Cookies, about how, because people were saying, there's going to be a catch weight or whatever. I really doubt, if there is a catch weight, it's not going to be a significant amount of poundage involved, or pound rather, of weight. And Canelo's not Ryan Garcia. He's not going to walk in there and he's the one that makes the demands, not the other way around. He's probably had 3 or 4 lawyers combing through the entire contract, from front to end and back, then backwards. He probably also had a curandero go through the fucking contract just to make sure that everything's hunky dory and there's no black magic involved. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be for the titles, because otherwise, how do you sell a fight, right? If the titles aren't involved, it's for undisputed super middleweight. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Especially if it's it's built like that. No, it says for double undisputed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but you know what, BD? Yeah, you got that also. So obviously, it's gonna be the good thing is you don't have to redo the posters because since you replace the brother, you basically just keep the name already. No, Charlo. You can even keep his face. No, you can even keep the same face. Nobody's gonna know the difference.
They're gonna save a little money. Yeah, you're right, man. See, Gonzalo's always thinking Gonzalo's always thinking big picture wise. That's why I like him. By the way, yeah, man. I mean, I'm telling you, this fight is gonna create a lot of drama here on YouTube. I'm glad this is happening. I would have rather seen Benavides, obviously, Canelo. That's the fight that should be happening next, or Canelo Bivol. But evidently, things happened with that one. Bivol wanted to. He was asking for something that, overpricing himself. Although I do think they should have given him more money than the first time, at least. I think they were a little too stringent on that. But then again, Ace side and all that. Benavides, they already had plans to fight Andrade or Morel. So we already know what type of dirty tactics they were playing. So I suppose this was really the only fight that was left there. And it's going to be interesting. By the way, we got the phone lines are open and people are calling in. Let me see if everything's working out here. Make sure everybody can hear us. All right, let's go to the phone lines here. 419, you're on the air. 419, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I had to take my phone off on speakerphone. I'm sorry. What's up, y'all? This is Raphael 32 calling out of Toledo. I was at the fight last night, but first I want to talk about Charlo and Canelo. Charlo and Canelo, and I've told you this before, BDA, this was all Eddie Reynoso's doing. What he does is when his back up is against the wall, he goes and he fights. First, it was Jamal Charlo. Then, now it's Mel Charlo. Which is better than Maul? Okay? Maul has a 40% chance of winning that. I got Canelo winning that, but Maul has a 40% chance. Some people are saying 30, but I give Maul a higher chance than that. Maul is a big 5'11 guy. He walks around, up in weight anyway. Okay. Mm-hmm. The same thing happened with the Triple G trilogy. He fought Triple G the first time, draw. He fought Triple G the second time. I thought that Triple G won that fight, or it should have been a draw. Okay, now they look at the middleweight landscape, and Eddie Reynoso is like, yeah, this is pretty heavy here. What are you gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're either gonna fight Triple G a second time, Jamal. That's when they should have fought Jamal. Back then, around when Jamal was Jamal. We got Boo Boo Anderson calling us out. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do for you,
Anderson.
Kovalov just lost to Andre Ward on Canelo. He goes in the ring with
Raphael, I gotta stop you right there. Sorry, no, I gotta, because I just gotta correct you on that one. It's that because that's a big oversight. He hadn't just lost to Andre Ward, Kovalev. He had
Oh, go ahead. Correct me.
Yeah, he had 3 straight wins, I believe. No, excuse me, 2 wins.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that he fought Kovalov the first time. Really, Kovalov won. He fought Kovalov the second time. No a doubt about it. Ward won that fight with his body attack. Then 6 or 7 months later, he goes and fights Yardy. Am I right or am I wrong? He didn't wait no years to fight Yardy. Am I right or am I wrong?
What's your question? Did he wait a year to fight Yardy?
No, he didn't go any years to fight Yardy. He fought Yardy after the loss to Ward.
No, he fought.
He went about
He
8
fought like
months.
he fought Ward. The second time he lost to Ward was in 2017, I believe. Then he came back and had 2 wins. Then he lost against Eleider Alvarez. Then he avenged the loss to Alvarez. Then he beat Yard.
Wait a minute. He lost to Alvarez, the Cuban,
Colombian.
the Colombian. He lost to him.
Yeah.
No, was it? Okay,
Anyway,
I have to look that up because
Rafael,
I thought it was.
Yeah,
he
please.
went and fought. He went and fought Ward, and then
get to the point, man.
after the second loss to Ward, he fought Yardy.
No, he wasn't right after. Like I said, he lost to Ward, then he had 2 wins, then he lost to Eleider Alvarez, then he beat Alvarez, then he beat Yard, then he lost to Canelo.
Okay, well, when they went into that Yardy fight, he wasn't the crusher no more. Like Andre Ward used to say, he was not the crusher. So they took a big they went and they fought a broken down Alvarez who was not the same fighter. Okay, that does not take away from what Alvarez did in the past, right? But he didn't stay and fight the 160-pound elite in my eyes. Is the same Alvarez you're talking about? Didn't Ward beat him also?
No, Andrew Ward did not beat Eleider Alvarez.
Who is the who?
All right,
Who is the Cuban I'm thinking
but
of?
Rafael, we got other calls here. So your point is, are you saying that this is a cherry pick, the Jermell Charlo fight?
Yeah, in a way, but I'm going to move on and then I'm going to go. I just want to say about Jared Big Baby Anderson. I was at the fight last night. The atmosphere in Toledo was awesome, and all of the heavyweights, all of the heavyweight prospects, they are not ready for the top elite of the heavyweights. None of them are ready for a Zhang. None of them. Maybe I should say Ward's. I mean, not Ward, but what's his name? Anderson's next fight should be against Ortiz or Ortiz. I can't think of the damn. But none of them are ready for the top tier of the heavyweight class. People are saying Torres. Torres is a good fighter. I like him too, but he only has a handful of fights. If him and Jared, if he fights any of the top prospects, Torres now, he'll lose against Jovalov, against the guy who fought Eastern European, who fought on Anderson's card, and Jared Anderson. This was a good litmus test for Jared Anderson. When I was coming up in boxing, what you do, you have a bad night, you go in there and you fix the mistakes. Martin, I know you said he was trash, but he was a former champion and a true pro, a true test. And since you're kicking me off, I'm gonna leave it at that.
I heard you.
I got more to say, but
hope you enjoyed the fight, man. That's interesting. Yeah. But by the way, were there any fights that weren't televised? Any fighters that fought on the card that weren't televised and impressed you?
The one I was disappointed about was Jaleel Tucker. All the fights that were on the card were televised. Even the McCrory from Toledo and Andre Ware, they were televised also. So you guys saw what we saw there. You guys saw everything that we saw. But I was disappointed in Tucker. He looked so flat. And now Anderson didn't look flat. He just, he was up against a better opponent. Not a better. He was up a more skillful opponent than what he's used to fighting. All of these heavyweight prospects are fighting bums, flat out. Just can we agree on that? All of the heavyweight prospects are fighting bums. So, this is and what you were saying. People are getting mad because you're criticizing Anderson. I don't see it as criticism. I agree with you. You know, he has to work on some things. That does not mean he will not be a world champion. But give fair where fair is due. All of them fight bums. This was the litmus test for Anderson, and he passed. He has a chin, but none of them are ready for the top elite heavyweights. And Johnny Rice, Anderson, or either one of those prospects, including Torres, will thrash Johnny Rice. Johnny Rice, man got 6 losses.
Come on.
He's nothing.
Johnny Rice he's pretty, dare I say, slick. He's not that easy to tag, man. But anyway, listen, Rafael, we got to move on. But thank you for that synopsis, and we'll catch you on the next one, all right? Take it easy out there.
Okay, you guys have a good one. Thank you very much.
You too,
Bye.
man. Take it easy out there. All right, let's go back to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the likes, fella. Hit the likes. Really helps us out. All right, let's go to 631. 631, you're on the air. 631, what's on your mind?
All right, so the first thing is kind of to address the whole Richard Torres thing. May I ask what you've heard about Richard Torres to make the assumption that he's been kind of put on the back burner?
Well, I mean, it's not what I've heard, it's what I've seen. They haven't been promoting him that much. They've been putting him on some untelevised undercards. They haven't even gotten him that active. Okay. Yeah, they haven't even gotten him that active either. And by the way, yesterday when they mentioned Jalalov, who I think they said that the Top Rank signed him, they casually just introduced how
talk about how he knocked out Torres?
Yeah, he knocked him out cold for 30 seconds. And, he left him on the fucking canvas for 30 seconds. I'm thinking, hey, way to promote the one of your top heavyweights there. But anyway, yes, caller, go ahead, man.
I don't know. I was going to say, to be honest, I don't think, what's his name? Alan Torres has a lot of fights. I think he only got 5 or something. And another thing is that he's been injured for a while, so that's pretty much why he's not active. I think he's still got a broken hand. And he was active because he was supposed to fight a couple of months ago, and they canceled it. And he was only there, holding up, the ring card or something. So that's for that. But in terms of Jared Anderson, I don't think he's overrated, but I do think he's been overhyped by Top Rank, which I guess isn't an uncommon thing for them. And I usually would say, I would cut him some slack any other day. But if you're going to tell me that your guy could beat Anthony Joshua tomorrow, you should be able to knock out Charles Martin. I wouldn't even say as fast as Joshua because, that was pretty quick. But you should, he shouldn't be going the full 10 with you, and he shouldn't be hurting you and outboxing you in sections of the fight. I think the full issue with Anderson, to be real, and it's the only thing that I see that's alarming, is the leaning back. I don't know why he still does that. He'll lean back, get hit by the punch, and then in the next sequence he'll lean back again with his hands low. And also he kind of admires his work too much. He'll throw a jab, and then his hand will get really low, even lower than it usually is. And he's just he's just admiring the movements that he's doing way too much in the ring. And on the whole Charlo versus Canelo thing, I hear a lot of people talking about the weight. I'm going to be honest. I feel like it's something more simple than that. You remember what Crawford told Charlo after he got the draw with Brian Castano?
What was that?
That's why you're not pound for pound, brother. And to be honest, that's kind of how I feel about this Canelo fight. This is a pound for pound guy versus a guy that, because he got undisputed and he willed himself to pound for pound, I guess he should be there, but it's more like you got to pound for pound because of your grit more than your skills, kind of like Josh Taylor.
So, caller, would it be fair to say you're not giving Charlo much of a chance going into this fight?
Probably not, especially after a year layoff. That's not going to help. I'd probably say if I were to give the odds, I'd put it, I think a caller said some people would put it 30 to 70 or something like that. I'd put it around there, 30 to 70 or 35, 65.
Well, there you go. All right, and by the way, thank you for clarifying the thing about, what's that?
Yeah, can I ask a question to the caller real quick?
Yes, Gonzalo, go ahead.
Sure.
What's your name?
Ray.
Ray, great fucking call, man. I was gonna tell you, man. Yeah, the thing with Jared Big Baby Anderson, is basically he's staying around like in no man's land. One or two things, or you're all the way in, or you're all the way out. And like you said, if he's admiring his work in no man's land, or he's actually not in or out, that's fucking dangerous. That spells fucking like a big time, like disaster, dude. One punch, he's gonna get caught. And I'm thinking with the
because
Canelo Charlo thing, it's more of a. Yeah, it's more of a with the Canelo Charlo thing. Real quick, it's more of a thing. It's like bound by honor. It's like a family thing. If the big Charlo, he couldn't make it, his little brother took his place, and it was more of a PBC decision rather than a Canelo. Canelo was probably like, okay, this is what you're asking of me. I'll do it, and I could even bill it as the guy that is beat brothers multiple times. He beat the Smith brothers. Who did he beat? He also beat some other brothers. I forget, but he beat some other brothers. Right? Now it would be these brothers.
Yeah.
That's basically a great call, man.
All right. Well, listen.
Oh yeah, let me just add a couple of small things. Small things. First thing, I don't blame Canelo for this. To be honest, I think realistic. If we're on like just talking on paper, this is the most proven guy out of everybody that I see mentioned that Canelo would be facing. Charlo wasn't really that proven. Neither is David. I just don't really. It's just kind of sad to see like this is kind of the quality. Even with that being said. And with Jared Anderson, I actually noticed it too. After he got hurt, he actually looked really good on the outside. He wasn't really getting Charles Martin to land on him, and he was just poking at him with the jab. But it is true, like he just got into the middle area where he didn't really do anything instead of just deciding to commit completely on the inside, where he was also beating Charles Martin. So we gotta solve that in the future. He's getting knocked the fuck out by anyone that's got a half decent punch.
Exactly. Absolutely. All right, well, listen, Ray, thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right, man? Oh, he hung up. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 757. 757, you're on the air. 757, what's on your mind? $757, you're on the air. Going once. Going twice. All right, 757, not there. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 205. 205, you're on the air. 205, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? What's up? What's up, my good people on the panel? What's happening? Uncle Charles.
Uncle Charles, what's up, man?
Man, let me tell you something. Let me just say this, man, in all fairness. Nobody gives a damn about ESPN. For the last couple of months, it became political, talking about people's personal business. Who wants, for 3 days, they talked about Zion Williams getting tricked up by his clothes by a porn star. Nobody want to hear about him being in the bed buck naked with a chicken thrown up in his ass. Nobody want to hear that. I want to hear that. And this is why people don't lost their job. I knew it. I knew once the president changed, I knew wasn't nobody going to have no job left. Now, you know it's bad when Mickey and Minnie don't lost their damn job. They ain't got a job. Now, where they going to go work? That's what I want to know is, let me say this. Let me talk about the new big baby. Well, let me tell you something. The new big baby need a new pamper because that right there, that was I saw last night. If Charles Martin knock your ass almost out, you know you ain't ready. You ain't ready for no prime time, no nothing. But I'm going to say this, man. I'm going to say this in closing. I keep telling people, if you would have wasted your time and came over to BDA Sports, you didn't even have to worry about all that. And I just kept hearing it all the time. Fox, too, they need to lay all them off, too. Every time I looked around, skills, it sounds like a damn dog got the hiccups. I mean, it ran me crazy. This is why that the YouTubers, the sports YouTubers, don't ran these people out of business. And it won't never be the same. When you look up there, you ain't going to see but one damn person up there giving the news. And I hope they ain't talking about nobody personal business. That's what I hope they don't do. And I appreciate it, BDA. Appreciate it.
I always appreciate you calling in there, Uncle Charles. And you're right. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be better. We're going to make this. We're all going to try to make this a better sport because we're getting tired of the BS. So shout out to Uncle Charles there for his call. Always uplifting, especially on a Sunday. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 240. Is it working? Yeah, 240. You on the air? 240. What's on your mind?
Hi, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, 240. What's up?
Nothing much. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the Jared Anderson fight. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I feel like there's not much to take away from that fight besides from the fact that, I think it was more about how they wanted to see his body language, versus an opponent. Like you said, Martin is trash, but he's still better than anybody. He's not better per se, but a bigger name than anyone else he faced. But I have a question for you. What did you think about the Charles Martin Ortiz fight?
I thought it was bizarre. I thought Ortiz looked like he was going to drop dead from a heart attack just walking into the ring. The fact that it was a back and forth affair and Charles Martin couldn't even put away an old man was bizarre and kind of disappointing. I mean, it just showed you the limits that Charles Martin has in his skill level. But what did you think, caller?
I thought I think when you look at things in perspective, I think you're right. Because when I just saw the highlight and I saw him drop Ortiz twice, I think it was the second and the fourth round, and I was like, okay, this is a different Charles Martin. But I guess I was wrong. But I heard he started boxing at 22, which doesn't really give you much time to develop any type of skills. Mm-hmm. Just like Deontay Wilder, pretty much. The last question I had for you, and also just the thing you mentioned earlier, something about the guy. I think it was a co-main event, or the guy from the Russian guy who had that crazy knockout over the Nigerian guy. Not sure if you guys knew that, but I think he's the same guy who coaches Bertebiev coaches him too. It's either the same guy or the same promoter because he's from Canada. I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
so that's a scary group right there. Scary group of individuals.
I mean, listen, if I saw these people on a bus, I'd call the police, or I'd even try to make, divert the bus and maybe incapacitate the driver so that the bus crashes with those guys inside, because they look like they just crawled out of a cave and they're about to beat somebody up with clubs.
Right. Look like a raging lion. Well, the nickname is the Lion, I think. Insanity.
It should be
and the last one, I heard Sean Porter mention that he gave. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but next week I think Ortiz is fighting Stanionis, and Sean Porter somehow said that he gives Stanionis a chance to surprise Ortiz. Mm-hmm. I personally think Ortiz wins, but do you think that, for example, if they go to distance and it's a war, I think they both win. Even if Ortiz gets the decision. What do you think about that fight?
You're saying Ortiz would get the decision if it goes to distance, he wins because he will have outboxed Stanionis, or you're saying that he's going to...
If it goes to distance, the war, I think they both win. I think it raises Stanionis' profile.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a close fight. It's a close fight, man. Stanionis is like Kavaliauskas, just as strong, but he's better than Kavaliauskas. No.
Have you checked the odds, though? It seems like Ortiz is an overwhelming favorite. I don't see it like that, though.
Huh. Are you sure about... Let me check the odds here. Now you got me curious. If you go to odds trade... Yes.
I was just going to say to the caller, the thing about Ortiz is he's relentless. He's real aggressive, and he's looking for the knockout. Even when he don't need it against the guy that he's beating clearly, like McKinnison, he don't lay off the pedal. He stays on it. And I think Stanionis is a tough guy, but I think Virgil is tougher. He punches harder. No, well, maybe they're equally as tough, but no, he is relentless, actually. And he punches harder, and he's probably bigger, too. So it's one of those things. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't take anything away from Stanionis, though.
Hey, caller, so are you picking Virgil Ortiz by decision, or what's your official pick?
I'm picking Virgil Ortiz by decision, but I'm very curious to see what Sean Porter sees in Stanionis, because he picks Stanionis by decision.
Right. Well, Sean Porter also said Canelo's a B fighter now, so I don't know if we can. I mean, he was a good fighter, Sean Porter.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
As a boxing analyst,
it was great. It was great being on the show. Also, last comment. What do you guys think about the Jared Anderson versus Derek Chisora fight? Wouldn't that be a great test for him to see if he actually has anything to offer?
Gonzalo, what do you think about that, Jared Anderson Chisora?
Yeah, that's kind of like, in a way, like you were saying, BD, like a tire. Well, yeah, he can be knocked out, but he's pretty big. Comes forward, applies pressure, so we can see what Anderson can do when he's got his hands full under that type of pressure. Interesting fight. Good example.
There you go. Well, listen, caller, we got to move on here.
But thanks for having me.
Thank you for your call. Call back next time.
You guys have a good one.
You too, man. Take it easy out there. All right. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. And by the way, I just checked the odds for the Stanionis-Ortiz fight. Ortiz is about a 4-1 favorite. Meanwhile, on that same night, Geron is taking on, what's his name? Villa. Royman Villa. And he's 11-1 underdog, I believe. So just goes to show you the level there. I mean, Villa really got lucky against, what was the guy's name he fought? Rashidi Ellis? People
Speedy Rashidi.
People were calling him Rashidi Ellis. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 416. 416, you're on the air. 416, what's on your mind?
What's going on, Bucho? Jimmy there?
It's BDA. Yes, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? Bucho, Gonzalo,
it's
Jimmy.
BDA.
So,
it's BDA.
After watching BDA, my bad. All right. So,
it's about to hang up on you.
Watching, can you hear me?
Yes. No, I just said I was about to hang up on you. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So curiously, the Charles Martin was he a late kind of substitute or what's the deal?
Yes, apparently I heard that it was 18-day replacement, but apparently other people in the chat are saying 11-day replacement.
So realistically, looking at this, it's looking terrible for Jared Anderson. I mean, he's fighting a replacement and goes the distance with this guy. I think the odd makers were favoring Anderson to knock him out earlier, clearly, and he went the distance with him. If you watch a fight, and I'm not saying that I'm a boxer psychologist or whatnot, but to a certain degree, you could see in any boxer's kind of visual expression in the context of what type of, violence they're about to, impart onto their opponent. If they have that degree of really bad intent energy, and not only that, but confidence, that self-confidence saying I want to go in there, I want to annihilate this guy, and I don't think Anderson had any of that. If we take it back that these guys are supposed to be the modern day representation of the old gladiators from the Colosseum, what a depart, what a sharp left turn has occurred over centuries of time, because that these guys are not gladiators are going knowing that one guy will literally die, will lose their life. Now it's like these fighters now, they're more worried about public perception, they're worried about their popularity, they're worried about Instagram followers, they're worried about endorsements, which is valid because money does reflect in regards to a fighter's possible popularity and whatnot, but it's just turning into a popularity contest. It's not about skill set. It's not about that hunger, that drive to saying, I want to impart just pure violence on my opponent and then get him out of there. I think the last known viscerage of that would be Mike Tyson, Iron Mike, where he even says he's a completely different human being than what he was back then. But what he was back then, when he was eviscerating opponents, is that he had that hunger, that mentality, that gladiator mentality. I want to go and kill this guy. I want to eat his children. That type of thing. It doesn't exist anymore. So these guys don't have that that bribe. So you see that in Jared. Getting back to the fight last night, Jared Anderson, he didn't have that look in his face. Like, I'm not saying you should look like a Cro-Magnon Neanderthal, like that. What's it?
Magmadov.
I can't even pronounce that guy's name.
Are you referring to Magmadov?
The Russian Canadian, but like you should, like, you should at least have that look of hunger, like, through and through. But not only that, in reflection, a fighter like Charles Martin, he should have annihilated him quite early, and not annihilate, but at least taking care of him under 6. I mean, under 5. He should have taken care of him under 5. Now this is kind of a context of, like, saying that maybe he is tiring of the sport. His statement, "I want to retire at 26." So his hunger, that zeal for saying, you know what, I want to achieve greatness in the sport, it's gone.
Well, listen, caller, I'll say this.
Caller, I'll say this. Because
caller,
he's so young.
I'll say this. You're right that there are certain fighters that, I mean, it's not for a lack of trying from Jared Anderson. It's just he didn't have the tools to get him out of there. He lacks the wherewithal and the infrastructure to get the job done. He's 23 years old. Maybe he'll start doing it. But there are fighters who still go for the win with gusto. I mean, Errol Spence tries to he tries to eviscerate people. Chocolatito for a while, he was trying to. Inoue eviscerates people. Venado Lopez eviscerates people. I mean, he really gives it his all to try to knock motherfuckers out. So, there's always going to be fighters that. Not all fighters are special. Not all fighters have. There's never been a time where all fighters were hard, or maybe there were harder fighters than today. But there were always guys. The reason why some guys are special is because they're special. They have that ability to never give up and always go for the win with the gusto. And I think that's what you're saying. But I do hate the fighters nowadays who, well, I gotta clinch my way to a win because I'm the one that's fighting and you're not taking the punches, so I get to fight the way I want, which is true. But then I, as a customer, can decide not to watch you fight. I can decide to not pay to watch you, to not watch you fight, and then the ratings tank, and then the network says, you know what, this guy is getting no ratings. Let's fucking cut our losses and go home. So we dictate the market as well. So anyway, listen, caller, we gotta move on here to another call. But thank you for your call. Call back next. What was that?
All right. No, that's fine, Bucho. But I mean, I think you'd have to agree. BDA, you'd have to agree that the last there has been a constant decline in that hunger or those special or gifted fighters. There's just been a decline over the years.
Yeah, there has been a decline. That's true.
I love the show.
Yeah, I do agree with you. There has been there was a bit larger quantity of hard fighters back in the day. Not all of them were special, but there were more special fighters than there are today. But it's not that bad. But anyway, listen, caller, we got to move on. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right? Take it easy out there.
Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to
BDA.
Yes.
It gets me how people throughout like the years they keep confusing you for some reason when you don't sound anything alike. Like just like the people are almost thinking it's like you got a sock puppet and you're changing characters. One time you're Bucho, one time you're Mr. BDA. It's just like
that was a fake. That was fake news.
I don't know, it's weird.
That was fake news that came out, and I wholly it's been debunked. All right, it's been debunked, sweetie. So stop it. All right, let's go to another phone call here. We got to get through these phone calls here. Let's go to 470. 470, you on the air. 470, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, man. What's up?
So, Jared Anderson, I guess the question is he overhyped? I don't think he's ready to be heavyweight champion, if that's what the question means. I think that some of these people, being heavily critical. First of all, I don't think Charles Martin is trash. Outside of what happened with him and Joshua in London, I don't know what happened in that fight. Every other fight that I've seen him in, he's been competitive. He's knocked guys down. He's taken punishment and fought back every single fight. So I don't think he's trash. And so for a 23-year-old with 15 fights, he didn't blast the guy out. I think that was being overly putting too much expectation on Jared Anderson to just go ahead and blast this guy out like he's a bum. He's not a bum. So
I think Jared Anderson is going to watch the tape, go back into training camp, and fix his mistakes. But I saw a guy who he knocked Martin down. He came to fight. He pushed the fight all 10 rounds. So I think for 23, I don't think he's ready right now, obviously, to beat a Fury or Wilder or Usyk. But for a 23-year-old guy with 15 fights, and keep in mind that Charles Martin has far more experience now than when he fought Joshua. Charles Martin is a guy who started late in boxing. So Charles Martin has fought Kownacki. He's fought Ortiz, who he knocked down twice. Even though he was old, I mean, Ortiz went back and forth with Ruiz as well. So I just think that people just need to, both sides really, with Jared Anderson. He's not ready to be heavyweight champion right now, but I think he's still on the trajectory to be a good. I think he'll become heavyweight champion as long as he just goes back in the gym. They take their time with him, and he just keeps working on himself.
Caller, you asked that what happened with Martin against Joshua. What happened with him? I tell you what happened. The trash got taken out. That's what happened. Anthony Joshua was in his mid-20s when he fought Martin, and he took him out. He took the king out. Now, but listen, I agree with you. All kidding aside, I do think that, look, Anderson got the win. But there's a lot of technical holes in there. And at 23, like we said earlier, time is on his side. But he just better correct those things, man. Because even the guy that he's going to be fighting next, I forget how to pronounce his name there, Kozubutsky. He's a 34-year-old guy. He's got wear and tear. But man, this guy comes forward. He's 6 feet 3 inches tall. He puts his hands up. Jared Anderson better not step away with his chin up in the air. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Right. Right.
Yes,
right. And I think as long as he stays active, because I like the fact that he's staying active with another fight soon, that's in his favor as well. Because a lot of these fighters today, not just heavyweights, but a lot of these fighters, they're not being active. So the activity, just being active in the ring, having fights and working on his skills. As long as he does that, I think he'll be okay. But I didn't see anything last night that made me say, oh, he's not what he's going to be. I think he's on the right track.
All right. Well, there you have it. You got somebody on the positive side for Jared Anderson. All right, listen, caller. Good call. Call back next time, right? Take it easy out there.
All right, guys.
All right. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 757. 757, you're on the air. 757, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I want to talk about the fight last night. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, man.
Hello? All right, yeah, I want to talk about the fight, Jared Anderson fight. A lot of people are saying he's a hype job, he's overhyped. He is, you know what I mean? But he's a hype job because he's supposed to be a hype job. He's a prospect. If you sign with a promotional company and you're not being overhyped, if you're not being billed as the next Genghis Khan, then you need to go to another promotion. Which top prospect is not overhyped? Which one? All of them are overhyped. One of the callers was saying that he was fighting bums. Who else is he supposed to fight? You know what I mean? Are you supposed to show up fighting the champions the first fight of your career? No, you started off slow. But he hasn't been fighting just only bums. He has stepped it up. He fought Jerry Forrest, I think, before this. Jerry Forrest was a fighter. I think Jerry Forrest had a split decision with Zhilei Zhang. Almost had him out a couple times. So, I mean, there's guys calling in, no offense to you, but there's guys calling in that just don't watch boxing. And it's clear in their opinions. Jared Anderson, what he did last night was what everybody was waiting to see. We were all waiting to see him get punched in the face. That's all anybody wanted to see. Him wiping out fighters in 2-3 rounds is not... I mean, after 10 times of seeing it, I'm done seeing it. I don't want to see him step into a fight and then knock a guy out in 2 rounds. I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see what I saw last night. And what I saw last night is a dog that can take a punch. And, I mean, win or lose, he's going to throw hands. You know what I mean? And that's what a fighter is.
Yeah.
As far as him getting knocked out, somebody said that he gets knocked out by Andy Ruiz. It's like, I mean, well, if Andy Ruiz is so good, then why didn't he beat Joseph Parker? You know what I'm saying? Every top fighter or prospect who fights top fighters is entitled to a tough fight. They're all entitled to a tough fight. You know what I mean? Everybody's worshiping Usyk. But did you watch the fight with Witherspoon? Who was Witherspoon? Where was he before he fought Usyk, and where is he now? Go back and watch that fight.
But wait a minute, Usyk struggled with Usyk did not struggle anywhere near the way Anderson. I mean, I thought you were gonna mention the what was the name of the cruiserweight? His name's escaping me. Not Brady's. Hunter, Michael Hunter. That was a better comparison. But he fucking washed Witherspoon. I think maybe you should have gone with Hunter there. But listen, caller, I get what you're saying about the criticism. But look, listen, I want to address what you said about the hyping thing. Yeah, that's the promoter's job. That's what I keep saying when people say whenever I ask people, why do you hate Lomachenko? You know, people come in here, they call in, they hate Lomachenko. I go, why do you hate him? Oh, well, because he was overhyped. And I always tell them, well, that's what fucking Top Rank's supposed to do. What do you want him to do? Call him trash? But the question isn't whether they should or shouldn't overhype him. The question is he overhyped? And that's the thing with Jared Anderson. They were trying to sell him as the next big thing. And some of his fans were even saying that they would pick him against Usyk, they would pick him against Joshua right now, especially after the way Joshua looked against Williams or whatever his name was in last opponent. So yeah, I think it's a fair question to ask. Was he overhyped? And here's the other thing though. You said, well, we found out a lot of things about Anderson. It's true. We found out he can survive adversity. But here's the problem. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be automatically better. How's he going to react when he fights a guy who can actually string a combo together? Because Martin can't string combos together. He's a 1-2 guy. And if you make him miss, he's all off balance, completely off balance. Listen, his technique is trash.
So who are we talking about? Who are we talking about specifically? When you say somebody who can string a combo together, who exactly? Because the heavyweight division isn't really that packed like everybody thinks it is. Who is it that we're talking about when you say string a combination together?
Put him versus the guy like.
I think Gonzalo wants to.
The guy that just beat Kaunaki. I can't recall his name, but somebody like that.
Well, I would say, listen, Joey Joyce can string combos together. Joseph Parker can still string combos together. Joshua can still string combos together. Uzi can string combos together. Joey Joyce. I mean, not Joey Joyce. The Chinese guy, Zhang.
Usyk punches like Charles Martin. Usyk punches like Prince Charles. You know what I mean?
Are you saying that? Are you saying that because he can't punch as hard as Martin, he's not gonna beat Jared Anderson?
No. Because styles make fights. What I wanted to see, can he take a punch? That's why I want to see, does he have a chin? Whether or not you can land punches on Jared Anderson is a different story. Of course, Usyk is going to be able to land more punches, but he's not punching like Prince Charles. And not only is he not punching like Prince Charles, but how big is Usyk? He's only 6'3". What is his reach? It's like 74. Did you see Jared Anderson's jab?
But hold on, caller.
If he fights AJ, he stops AJ. He beats AJ. AJ is finished.
I got a
Andy Ruiz will be a 50-50 fight.
No, caller. But hold on, caller. You're saying that because Jared Anderson is bigger than Usyk. I mean, that went out the window the time Usyk beat Joshua. And Usyk also beat Joey Joyce in the WSB. And he beat that New Zealand dude. What's his name?
No. So styles make fights. AJ is a guy who started fighting as an adult, just like Charles Martin. Their skill levels are different. Jared Anderson is a lifelong boxer, just like Usyk. You saw the difference in skill levels last night. So you can't say, Usyk can beat anybody that's tall. All right, let him be the tall guy that's a lifelong boxer. You know what I mean? He hasn't fought. Listen, Usyk hasn't fought anybody that we care about. But let's not start an altar of worshiping a guy like Usyk. He hasn't fought anybody that we care about. We don't care about none of those guys. I don't care about Chisora. I don't care about Witherspoon. AJ is washed. He's been washed. He fought Jermaine Franklin. They went to the decision.
Yeah,
we're talking about him going into a decision.
I got you, caller. I got you.
Chris Charles was a champion.
Caller, I got you. But I don't. You don't care about Joshua. I don't care about Martin. The guy's trash. Joshua compared to Martin. Joshua washed. Hey, listen. Joshua stopped Martin under 2 rounds. So, I mean, can we stop with elevating Martin? Can we stop elevating Martin and degrading Joshua when Joshua took him out in under 2 rounds? I mean, come on. But anyway, listen, the point is this. Jared Anderson is 23 years old. There's still room for improvement.
Yeah.
And, hold on. I think Gonzalo wants to say something. Gonzalo, go ahead. I think you want to say something.
Yeah, it's like he's a lifelong boxer, but he hasn't been living for that long on this earth. 23 years of age. I mean, he's still green. Like I said, we don't want to be here waiting 10, 20 years because heavyweights tend to age at an older age. That we're gonna like be kicking back, waiting for like this guy to like 10 years from now make a career, have the good fights. No, you know who's a good fighter with the PBC, and he might be washed, but still hits harder than Martin. It's the guy that win life and death with Martin, or King Kong Ortiz. Yeah, they were going back and forth because it was 2 left-handers trading left hands from the opposite stance when they're facing each other. Throw him against a guy like that. See if he can take the punch. Another left hand. He was getting hit with left hands. Have him face another dude that throws left hands and hits harder. That's a good one.
Well, hold on.
If you want to get an accurate answer, I'm basically
telling you. Just as a reminder, he's fighting Kozobutsky next. That was the guy that he was supposed to have fought last night. But anyway, listen, caller, we got to move on. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. But good call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there. All right.
What's up, BDA?
Yes, I just noticed we got people jumping on the panel. We got Jimmy and we got Recognized. Fellas, thank you for jumping in, man.
What's going on, Jimmy? Man. Good to speak to everybody.
Yeah, we went back talking about Jared Anderson. So if you guys want to give your, you see, we have different points of view.
I heard the last caller. I just wanted to make a quick little comment. You see, this is what happens when people get into their feelings. And I admit that Anderson is still young, and the window for him to grow is still pretty huge because I think he's like 22, 23. So he can learn. He can get better if he's really committed to it. I truly believe that. So I wouldn't judge him today on the future. You know, the future could be totally different. But this I heard the caller say that everybody that Usyk fought, he doesn't care about. And he tried to, because he doesn't care about them, that means that the boxing world doesn't care about the people that he fought. But he fought Charles Martin. Charles Martin got washed by Anthony Joshua in 2 rounds. I don't know if anybody brought that up, but if you did bring it up, I didn't hear it. He got washed in 2 rounds to Anthony Joshua. Okay, and I think the caller even said, "I don't know what happened." I know what happened. He got hit and he went out. That was it. He just said, "I'm not getting back up." Okay, I'm not fighting this Anthony Joshua who was younger. He was a lot more hungrier, probably a little bit better fighter too, in terms of like just raw talent. And Usyk at this point, for the caller to be like, "Oh, who is Usyk?" Listen, Usyk will make a fool out of Jared Anderson. I will fire anybody if I was responsible for Jared Anderson's career. I will fire your ass if you even talked about him fighting Usyk, because I know exactly what will happen. He will make him quit. That's what will happen. And if he didn't quit, I swear to you, he would knock his ass out through just purely, he would not be able to stop those punches from coming as the fight goes along. If the referee doesn't stop the fight, he will get sparked out, knocked out, like the way he knocked out, what's that fucking British dude? The cruiserweight, okay? He would knock him out, something like that, because he can't stop punches from coming. Okay? He would not be able to, not from Usyk. Okay? He backs up with his chin up. Like I said, I will fire anybody that even dared talked about, if I was responsible for Jared Anderson's career, Usyk. I would tell Jared Anderson to his face, that man will kill you, not beat you. He would destroy your career. And that's that.
Bring in the heat, brother.
I just got back. I don't know if you guys saw my message. I had to go to the latrines, as Gonzalo says.
Oh, no. Sorry.
What?
No, I was saying Recognize brought the heat. I said Recognize brought the heat.
Right. Well, listen. That's more of a. I don't like going back and forth with the callers on Sundays because that's more of a open lines Friday to go back. Those debates type of thing. But I wholly disagree with the whole thing.
scene.
Yeah. But Jimmy, did you say anything or while I was gone or?
Oh no, recognize he was laying it on good, man. But honestly, listen, to address the last caller, just to address one point, when he said Martin and Joshua started later in life, whereas the other two have been fighting their whole life, it sounded to me like he was making a straight comparison to him and Usyk. Usyk unified the cruiserweight division against some killers, some serious punches. Usyk beat Joshua, but here's the important part. Usyk, I have never seen make the mistakes that I've seen, which is understandable, some of these mistakes, and I'll get into that in a second. The mistakes that I saw Anderson make last night. And to pull back still this far into your career with your head straight back like that, know what that tells you? He's never had to really face adversity. He's been whether it's just the way the ball is bounced, he's probably dominated most of the people he's fought, either by knocking them out or just sizing them down, because he's got quick hands for a big guy. So I'm surprised that hasn't something he hasn't worked on. But that's to that one point. But now let me break this down. And there's a caveat at the end of all this. I saw in Anderson last night a kid who seemed to me like he trained probably more for the knockout, because his legs were gone after the 6th round. His punches, when I say by gone, not meaning he was ready to go out from punches, but the weight, they were heavy. He started dragging them. There was no more spring in his caps. He wasn't snapping his punches. They didn't have the same power on them. And that's why Martin, who I don't think is as trash as people say he is, but he's smart enough and cagey enough to know he felt them. That's the reason why suddenly he became more, all of a sudden it's like he found his nuts. I'm not going to run around anymore. He was running around till he felt the power come off. And when you're in there, you know when you get cracked, okay, boom, that was that right hand that fucking made me see some dead relatives a few rounds ago, just didn't do the same thing. So you start getting your balls up. And that was in the 6th round. Okay, he knew this was a 10-rounder. So I think he needs to work on his road work. He needs footwork going backwards. He's got to end that. Someone like Usyk, you back out of a pocket straight with your head back with Usyk, he's going to fucking make you look silly. And the worst part about that particular, when you're up straight, you're back in that position, going backwards with your head up, there's nowhere to go. Like, there's this not, because you can't start bending forward because you're going to get caught with an uppercut, against someone like Usyk. So you have to kind of almost turn your back to get away from it, which is horrible too, because you're not going to see the hook that's going to put your lights out. So my point being, that's just a very big defensive flaw. But like I said, the caveat to all this is I'm so disappointed going into the fight. The comments that come out of his mouth at this stage of his career. Oh, first I want to say too soon to be headlining at home. Too much pressure on a young fighter with 15 fights who hasn't even corrected all his flaws. The hell, that wasn't just a smart move. Lively crowd, but of course his expectations he put on himself to put on a show in front of his hometown, and he headhunted, and I think that cost him. When he dropped Martin, it was because he was boxing. He was just using his hand speed and what he has. But after that, the minute he put him down, then he was looking for the knockout, and he kind of started heading. He was loading up on his punches, and he didn't have the condition to carry it through. So anyways, too soon for home for that. But the comments he made about, I'm not in love with boxing. I believe, if I'm misquoting him, I believe that's something I read that he said, that he wants to be done by 27. This is not a fucking kid in love with. Yeah, brother. Exactly. No, listen, that's just not good.
Like that, you'll be done before that. You'll be beat up by guys who do love boxing.
Exactly.
They love the game. They don't care they don't care about your personal feelings. When they get in that ring with you, they're gonna show you the difference between I love boxing, you don't. You're just a novice. That's what you are.
All right, now,
what did Larry
let
Merchant say? I believe
Jimmy
he coined the phrase, if somebody's even talking about retirement, they're already retiring in their head.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Jimmy. And let me just say this, recognize, because then I gotta finish some calls here. But Jimmy, you hit the nail on the head there with the Usyk thing, with the head Anderson backing up. That's a horrible thing to do against a quick fire like Usyk, who steps in there so quickly with the 1-2-1 or just the 1-2, and then on top of that, Usyk feints so much. And even if he doesn't do it, Usyk would make him do it. So, but at the same time, look, Anderson is 23, right? There's room for improvement, and this is a heavyweight division. One punch sometimes is all it takes. But I will say this, because we said this before you guys got here about how I gave Anderson credit. I like the fact that he tried to make the fight. He tried to walk Martin down. He's not a back foot bitch. He tried to go to the body. I love body punches, and he got the win at the end of the day. But I get the sense that some of the guys who called in defending. Not all of them, but some of who are defending Anderson are sort of like saying, don't criticize him. He got the win, that's it. That's all that's important. But look, he got hurt twice in there bad. And he didn't get hurt because Martin is this big puncher and Jared Anderson was doing all the right things defensively. The reason why he got hurt is because his defense was subpar last night. There's a lot of holes to patch up there. And if he doesn't, like you guys were alluding to, it's going to get ugly in there. Now, I want to go back to you guys. Let me just finish up here with the phone calls because I started piling up again a little bit here. Let's go to 301. 301, you're on the air. 301, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, BBA? I wanted to circle back to the Max Kellerman question. You know, that guy, he's got the same energy as that Fight Hub guy, Sean Zeitel, I think. You know, they both have like this like need for recognition from the black man, you know. They got like that cuck energy. They're always like, you know, subtly referencing rap songs or whatever. Like, hey, look at me. You know, like I'm one of the, I'm like you. I'm one of the guys that I fit in. You know, I've noticed that over the years, and that really like irritates me. That's like sniveling, like quizzling kind of energy. You know,
you're preaching to the choir.
So, he won't be missed if he's gone. What was that?
No, I said you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, but Jimmy kind of already went through all my points. I was going to say that basically the same thing. I saw Anderson. I mean, first of all, like that pulling back habit, that's not that easy to fix. That's a natural reaction someone has to seeing punches and getting punched. You know, that's something that you get too caught up in, like not getting hit, and then like later down in the fight, like 4th, 5th round, you didn't taste the guy's power at all, and suddenly you get hit, and it really shocks you. I never like when I see that. I think that you can only do so much as a trainer. So I mean, he's young, sure, but I don't know. That's like a psychological instinct that I haven't seen people be too successful in fixing. I don't know if you have a different opinion, but
no, I agree.
It makes me really wary of his.
Gonzalo, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, BDA.
Yeah, so it makes me like a.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. If he keeps dwelling in that space, the thing that he could change is he could change his approach, modify his style, go to like a counterpuncher type of mentality. Let the other guy shoot first, right, and stay a little bit backer, and then go off of his reaction instead of like being the guy that's getting caught reacting first and whatnot. That's what I would say. Change your style, modify it.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Gonzalo, that style should be used for pulling over someone, either catching or pulling. Typically, when you do that, you parry a punch and then slip and then throw. Like Andy Cruz is very good at that, but Andy Cruz can fight out of a lot of shells. All I see from Anderson is he likes to walk forward with his hands low, and he relies on that waist movement too much. I like everyone who develops that style where they can pull. They always first develop the very basic boxing fundamental, where they have themselves in a tight shell. Like even Floyd would do that. He would, when he fought Zab Judah in the mid rounds, just started walking him down with his hands up. I don't see that ability from Anderson, so I do think that's like a psychological thing. That's hard to instill in the fighter.
Well, listen,
because you gotta like acquire the target. Like you have to put your gloves up and you have to feel the punches, both to get a sense of how the guy can hit and the range. If you're going to start pulling over them,
you're absolutely right.
You have to start that first.
Is this Irish Andrew Ward, by the way?
Yeah, it's me.
All right, yeah, good points there, Irish. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to learn the basics first before you can do all the fancy stuff. But 23 years old, he might be able to fix it.
Can I say something?
And the switching, though, I just wanted to say, I don't like seeing a guy switch that early on in his career. That shows me that his camp doesn't have enough control over him. I don't think any fighter should switch. I think it's really overrated. Like, when you talk about, like, Marvin Hagler switching, he switched in the pocket. He would switch to get an angle that a guy couldn't see to subvert his expectation. But you wouldn't fight out of the orthodox stance for long stretches of time, like you see with modern fighters, you know?
Right. Well, listen,
so I really don't like that. You have to have, like, a consistent approach that you build all your fancy techniques off of. If you're just doing random shit in there, then you're not you're not building anything up. Like a fight has to have moves and phases.
Yeah, it's random shit. Doesn't work out, man. Well, listen, Irish Andrew Ward. Hopefully you and because Andrew Ward just apparently he's out from the ESPN organization. So hopefully you can help him help the fellow Ward out and help him land a job.
Hope the mix breed.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. Well, listen, Irish. Thank you for your call. Call back next time.
Maybe he can be on Shaw Porter's podcast. They can rank the best headbutters of all time.
Hey, that's not a bad idea, man. That's a good idea. All right, listen,
who has the best low blow in boxing? That's an unexplored topic.
Exactly, man. All right, listen, Irish, thank you for your call.
BDA, I wanted to bring up one point
easy, man.
that Irish Andre Ward brought up, and I thought it was an excellent point. Okay, it's called pattern recognition in boxing, right? These things do exist. You can almost predict what a fighter is going to do by their stance and by the way they approach you. Usually when a guy's coming with his hands down, he's walking forward towards you. That means if you could get him to back up, he's going to back up with his head up. If you look at Usyk, right, the best guy that stood his ground and still lost 2-1, in my opinion, was Bradis. Bradis is a smart kid. He said, look, this dude wants to back me up. That's what he wants to do. He wants to back me up with his fancy footwork and his fucking 5-punch combinations. I get it. That's what he wants to do. But I'm not going to let him do that because I know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is he's going to embarrass me. So I'm going to stay in. I'm going to stay in close, like Gonzalo said. Gonzalo said something about modifying his boxing style. I think a guy like Bradis probably modified his boxing style because he's the one that really, if you go look at that fight, he's the guy that really understood. I cannot be backing up towards this guy no matter what because I'm going to get embarrassed. He still lost, but if you look at the method and you look at what Gonzalo said, modifying your style, a guy like Jared Anderson should look into that because pattern recognition in boxing is very, very. There's a lot that goes into it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just look at a guy's style and that's it. You got him figured out.
Well, you know what?
But that's a big indicator. There's a big indicator usually.
That's a very good point, though, Recognize. And by the way, Recognize also has pattern recognition outside the ring. When he's at the bodega and somebody gets too close to him, he goes, hey, don't get too close, man. Don't get too close. Now, fellas, hold on. We got to...
Recognize.
Gonzalo, real quick, if you can be brief, because I got to get back to these calls because we're running out of time here.
No, and Andre Ward said the same thing. Catch and pull. Don't initiate, even though he might have quick reflexes. When you initiate, you're getting committed to that, and the other dude's gonna set a trap for you because you're too invested in punching. That's where I would say take a little bit off the aggressiveness, just to be the one that's responding to that aggressiveness, and use your speed and your instincts to kind of counter off of what he's doing. It's a seesaw battle, and just have a little patience in that regard. Don't get invested in trying to knock it out of the park in the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah,
the power will be there later.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's old school right there. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to 416. 416, you're on the air. 416, what's on your mind?
What's going on, BDA? What's going on, panel?
What's up? Is this Never Sobers?
Yeah, so I don't know who the panelist is that's on there. I'm presuming there's one brother that's on there that I like listening to because he is clearly he's not driven by color or nationality in the context of like viewing boxing and viewing boxers' abilities and whatnot, right? Whereas I think a lot of people are driven through
race or nationalism and pride of nationalism, and I get it. Like, you know what, like there has been a kind of like a slight decrease in the advancement or popularity of American boxers that really put it on, and there's been an increase of other fighters from other nations, like definitely Eastern Bloc, like South America, Britain, whatnot, and they're I think they're surpassing a lot of the other American boxers, because I'm not sure what it is, but is it like, well, it's in the context of like certain skill set, certain ability to, like, you know, I don't know what it is, man. I guess it's just timing. Like, there was a time of certain eras of boxing, and then yeah. So, but I really like that panelist, because I know he's probably brother, but
let's get him in
very
there.
objective.
He's a very objective brother. Let's get 70s recognized in here. 70s recognized. What do you think about what the college just said about you being a very objective brother?
Yeah, man, I like this new blood.
That's right. Yeah, you like the new era of white Brits that are dominating the heavyweight division.
Well, I don't know about all these white Brits. I don't really.
Oh man,
crackers.
No, I like the caller. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it.
No, but like, I mean, you're putting yourself at risk of being labeled like Uncle Tom, cool, whatever, from other brothers to be like, yo, man, you're not representing, you're not standing up for the brothers, that blah blah blah.
Right, yeah.
And but you're being objective. You're looking at boxing as the sport. You're looking at the sport. You're not looking at color, creed, nationality, nothing.
I agree, man.
You're saying no. Let's be objective and look. Let's see their skill set as a boxer, how they've been trained. So, next question.
You were right.
Jared Anderson, what is his amateur career like? What is his amateur career like compared to like because he's been saying he's been boxing since he's been 8 years old. But like, I mean, say for example, if we compare Canelo Alvarez, I mean, they're totally different weight classes, but Canelo's like amateur career to like the time where he was 15 and turned pro. Can we compare those two in regards to their
Canelo didn't have
and their
much of an amateur career. His amateur career was spent in the pro ranks.
That's crazy.
In Mexico at the age of 15. You see, when you talk about guys like Canelo versus a lot of these guys, like let's say Jared Anderson, who could change his point of view as time goes on, because he's still young. Like I said, 22 years old. That's relatively young. But the difference is that a guy like Canelo's in it to win it forever, right? Until the wheels fall off, until he can't do it no more. He wants to be the best fighter, whether you think he is or not. That doesn't even matter. But he wants to be that guy, and we've seen him carry boxing in terms of big events on his back, because there was a drive to do that. And of course, there's marketing and all that, but at the same time, it starts with him. It starts where I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be the star of boxing, where a lot of these guys, like a Jared Anderson, something that Jimmy brought up, and I didn't even know he said that a guy, he's already looking into retirement. A guy like that is food for a dude who loves boxing. He wants to do it until he dies.
Now, hold on. Now we gotta get back to
that guy food.
I gotta conclude the caller here, and then go ahead, caller. One last thing, because we gotta move on.
Wait. Yeah. So do you think it's a psychological thing that, due to the fact that Jared Anderson's already talking about retirement, saying he wants to be out at 26, it's a kind of he's lost that hunger, like versus Canelo, he just wants he's clearly like aiming for, like he heard, say for example, I forget which Charlo brother said it. He goes, let's make it happen, undisputed versus undisputed. And I know that was years ago that he stated that, and I think maybe that stuck with Canelo, and saying like, okay, you know what, if people look back at me in the annals of fucking boxing and be like, who achieved the most in the shortest period of time that they were built, like, but Canelo's been pro boxers since he was 15. But if they have to compare it, I think that's what Canelo's after. But Jared Anderson, the fact that he's talking about retirement at 26 and he's 23 right now, I think there's a mental propensity of him saying, I think he's done.
Well,
he's like, he's saying
Caller,
like,
whenever a fighter says I'm gonna retire by a certain age, add another 10 years to it. It's like when women tell you they only slept with 5 guys, you add another 10. That's the same thing you do with fighters. But listen, we got to move on here, caller, because we're running out of time. We got other calls. But thank you for, thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Peace.
Real quick, BDA, I just want one statement. He said he's not in love with the game. That's what freaks me out. But okay, get to the calls.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a difference between saying I want to retire by this time or saying, man, I'm just not that into it. It's kind of difficult right there. Hey, don't forget to hit the like. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
L.A.
Hey, what's going on over there, you guys? Just to touch on last night's fight, I think within the context of the fight, I thought the only thing I was impressed with was the way Jared Anderson was able to come back from being in some serious trouble. I thought for sure, as everyone did, he was going to get knocked out. I thought he was in more trouble than Martin was at any point in the fight. That was very obvious. The other thing is hopefully he gets better, because against a better opponent, he's not going to last, and we've all discussed that already. The one thing about the pullback and the dipping down is it's kind of baffling to me at this point, because that's some shit you learn in sparring. Like, if you're beginning and you do that against people that don't know any better, sure, but if you start getting in better sparring partners, that shit should have been corrected years ago. Like, that should have been corrected a long time ago. And the fact that he's still doing that, I don't know if he's facing, and maybe he needs to get better sparring partners. I don't know, man. I mean, you just, how do you do that? And how does your coach let you get away with that, even in sparring? These are like fundamental problems you fix, and that's not a huge problem either. That's a fixable problem to solve. And before you go to production, it's just, I don't know, that's a hard one. You have to question the people that are training him. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about was, I know you guys mentioned earlier Max Kellerman got fired. Did Andre Ward get fired as well?
Well, not fired. They just simply didn't. From what I understand, they simply didn't re-up the contract.
So moving forward, we're not going to have Andre Ward on the panel anymore.
We're not going to have Andre Ward or Max Kellerman talking about how Andre defeated Kovalev back in 2017. Unfortunately not. That's over with. That dream is over.
Wow. Slurping.
That's huge, man. I mean, I couldn't see them getting rid of that guy.
Yeah, it's the best news I've heard.
Well, anyway, you guys, I think you guys have talked about it, a lot of the things I wanted to bring up anyway, so I'm just going to take myself off. You guys have a great Sunday. BDA, man.
Later,
you weren't at Open Line Fridays, and I noticed Jimmy, Gonzalo, and BDA all ducked out early. It was kind of chaotic.
Well,
I think one of you guys kind of keeps it.
That's a chance to give the other panelists a chance to jump in and have their say. We have our say here, so we don't want to take up too much time over there. But listen, Don Madrazos, good call as always, and call back next time, right, man?
Hey, you guys have a good weekend. Bye.
You too, man. Take it easy. All right.
BDA is considering giving Max Kellerman. BDA is considering giving Max Kellerman a spot on the panel, but that doesn't mean we're not going to bully him. BDA.
That's right. Oh, there's going to be some hazing. Yeah. Absolutely, there's gonna be some hazing. It's gonna get a little dirty, if you know what I mean. It's like the military.
Good riddance to him.
Ah, come on, no, wait a minute.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well, let me
Seriously, despise that individual.
All right. We'll get back to that, but let me just get back to this caller here. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Jared Big Baby, the real Big Baby Anderson. I think he had a great performance. I think he is the heavyweight Mike Tyson. He's a very good counter-puncher. You know, he has very good reflexes, very good counters. Even when he got hurt, he was still throwing. I think he has a good chin. I think that we saw he has a good chin.
What the fuck ever?
Charles Martin, he did good, but the better person won the fight. And listen, he's doing what Jared Anderson is doing what a lot of fighters are not doing. He's a very active fighter. You don't see him fighting once a year or twice a year. He's fighting 3 times, even sometimes early in his career, he's fighting 3 or 4 times a year. So, you know, I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah,
and, I like to see him fighting the top fighters, you know, coming soon. I think he will be undisputed soon.
Oh, good Lord. All right, MMA champ, thank you for your call. And that was his comeback call. That's why he decided to come back.
Oh, that's MMA champ?
That was MMA champ, the one and only. All right, fellas. Okay, I wanted to get to this then. Jimmy, you were going to say something about Andre Ward no longer being with ESPN. Same thing with Kellerman. I was talking about that before, about how you mentioned that he had a big-time agent. That's why he was able to jump from job to job to job to job. Now that's, you know, again, second time.
Well, he was getting big money. Remember, he was still being paid off his Stephen A. contract, right? And when Stephen backed out, but he was still getting big money, $5 million plus a year, I think I read. But it was big money. So yeah, they were blasting his ass. Listen, I just sent you something that somebody made and sent me, dude. And it's just, it talks him, he was talking about Black Lives Matter. He lied about shit, about like, you know, just going into saying Republicans were the ones, you know, causing all the damage, just crazy shit. But the groveling to Stephen A. anytime anything racial happened, me as a white man, you know, using my privilege off a network that you and your people built, it was just...
Wait.
It's so disgusting. I can't believe that. Like, did they really think that? Clearly, they knew that was a losing thing. Like, just never mind his story of the fight. These composed fucking diatribes he would write about fights, trying to become the next, Jimmy Kellen or something. So it was just. That dude has been on my last nerve since HBO. So this was just, get the fuck out of here, Kelman. He will say anything, whatever the wind blows. He was a rapper who fell into this, as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, as far as Ward, you knew that was one of them had to go. Tim is a much bigger cheerleader for ESPN. He'll much, and I think that obviously played into it. Not so much for ESPN, but for top rank fighters. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They're going to keep carrying on 2 color commentators. I don't understand but I'm not surprised by that. But I just want to say one thing. Abdullah Mason, I'm going to say something. This is a hot take. Abdullah Mason is probably going to be the first dude to beat Shakur Stevenson. And it won't be for years from now, if it even happens, if it takes place. But he's that kid's got it, man. That kid, the shit I've seen that kid do last night, I know he was limited opponent, but his twitchiness, his accuracy. No wonder Tim, that's the kid, Tim, the other commentator, that's his favorite of all the young fighters. Like, he's the highest on. That kid is accurate, but unlike Shakur, he punches with power in that left hand. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to see where his career goes. And I think length and all those things combined, he has the ability to beat Shakur Stevenson.
I thought you were going to say about Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman, I thought you were going to say he's a rat. Whole family full of rats. Shout out to Raphael. Shout out to Raphael32 for his contribution to Super Chat. He says, BDA, you were right about Kovalev. I apologize. You don't have to apologize. I mean, we're just talking about records. He says, Reynoso is cherry picking. It's a good cherry. Jared is the first heavyweight prospect to fight a seasoned pro. Technique flaws, yes. Is mental there? No. I think he means that there's no mental flaws, in that there is mental trouble. Shout out to Raphael. Yeah, you don't need to apologize when we're talking about records. I mean, you'd have to find a savant to memorize all the fucking records out there. Shout out to Jonathan Lambarena for his contribution with Super Chat as well. He says, Anderson's trainer was jumping for joy at the decision. Shows you he lets Anderson do what he wants. After that performance, I wouldn't be happy. That's a good point. You got to have high standards too. Not just tell the guy, you get the win, baby, you get the win. Nah, you gotta have certain standards. By the way, shout out to the brother Recognize for keeping it real. He bigs up the Wonder Breads too. Don't get it twisted. It's all just black. I Recognize once said, "I'm black before I'm anything else," but now he's changed his mind. Yep. So shout out to 70s.
Well, he's a lot better now that he left the Hebrew Knights.
I'm golden before anything.
I'm golden.
That's right.
All right, listen. I wanted
I'm bronze. I'm bronze with light green with light eyes. Basically, I'm the devil, but I'm the brother.
That's right.
He's like Miguel Cotto back in the day. Sometimes he looks more Puerto Rican.
Like
yeah, that's the thing about Cotto. He looked darker when he started out his career. Then all of a sudden, I don't know if he went the Sammy Sosa route or something, but he turned a little more light skinned later on.
No, I think that's one of those things that happens when you get older. You start to thin out. Your hair starts to thin out. Like when I let my hair grow, boy, you'll know. Well, oh yeah, that boy got some Negro in him. That's for sure. But when I cut my hair short, you'd be like, oh shit, are you white? What the fuck are you?
Hey, listen, I wanna play this video here that Jimmy sent us. Because again, we're starting to get racial. Let's get racial. Max Kellerman made it racial apparently in his tenure on ESPN. So let's watch a little compilation of him racializing sports.
When he talks about like Black Lives Matter, 93% of the protests are peaceful. The vast, overwhelming majority are peaceful. And by the way, the 7% that are not, they have a very...
Wait a minute. Okay, I think I know who made this video, by the way. By the way, there's a little graphic here that somebody put there. It says 33 civilians killed, over 10,000 more injured, 11 police officers killed, another 2,000 injured, between $6 and $8 billion in property damage. Jeez, Luis.
Broad definition of what's not quote-unquote peaceful. For example, if you block traffic or something like that, or if you respond to police provocation. And even then, the big percentage of that, that wasn't peaceful, is actually outside agitators, extremist right-wing agitators, posing as protesters in order to make the protests look bad. That's the...
Okay, come on. Okay, I gotta ask. Is it Haymanites who made this video?
Yes, it is.
Okay, shout out to Haymanites. He has his fingerprints, or I should say his cock prints all over it. But shout out to... yeah, listen, why... It's like ESPN, you should separate. I know sometimes we get racial here too as well, but we're not a big company. We're not a professional company. We try to mix and mash every now and then. But this is ESPN. It's a big company. It's supposed to be about sports. Leave the politics out of it, especially when he's exaggerating the thing about the peaceful process, this and that. Listen, Max Kellerman, good riddance. And by the way, you said that he claims to be white. Is that what's going on?
He claims to be white when it comes time to guilt white people, but when it comes time to take the beating, he puts on his little our greatest ally hat on.
Well, they are our greatest ally. I don't understand why you're trying to say
I'm just saying, yes, he puts that hat on. He goes, no. Technically, I'm not. I am not.
It's a Sunday. Let's keep it boxing. I wanted to say this. Okay, so word is out. Kellerman is out. Now, you guys weren't there. Gonzalo was there that night when Rick Mirigan called in. He's the manager for Jose Ramirez, Virgil Ortiz, amongst other fighters. And I asked him, look, you got a close connection with Top Rank and by proxy ESPN. Is there any truth to the rumors that ESPN and boxing is in trouble? He said, not at all. And I'm thinking, I hope he's right. Because I don't want to see, imagine Showtime out of business, ESPN out of business, and then what? DAZN, that's all that's left? And then they can jack up the price whenever they want because they're the only outfit in town? You know what I mean? So hopefully, what have you guys heard about ESPN?
Well, I would take Steve Kim's opinion. He talks to Bob, you know what I mean, often, and Bob's going to be more honest about that situation than he is to Ramirez, his manager. He's not going to even have that kind of relationship to tell him business shit, I would imagine. But yeah, I mean, how would you be happy if you were fucking Top Rank with the coverage ESPN after all that shit they promised to bring boxing forefront, make it a big intricate part of their network? Does anybody here feel like boxing is an intricate part of their network when they make you wait 45 minutes because they want to show interviews after another sporting event? So it is what it is with that. But yeah, I think, but no, that video, there's yeah, Kellerman's nuts, but you're right, though. I don't think Top Rank is going to be there much longer on ESPN.
It seemed like you got confused a little bit there. You were talking about Top Rank, and then also you mentioned Kellerman.
Yeah, well, no, Mike, you know what it is? That's playing in the background on the TV, that video.
Okay.
So it's just, caught my eye, but I'm like, Jesus, I almost burst out laughing. So, but yeah, this shit isn't good there. And I think everybody can see that.
Yeah, real quick, back to Kellerman. Remember when Mayweather knocked out when he beat Marcus, and then Hopkins and Mosley hopped into the ring and they got into a confrontation with Mayweather to try to goad him into a fight. And so Mayweather got pissed, and then he got pissed at Kellerman because Kellerman was just meandering with his questions. And then he told Kellerman, he interrupted in mid-sentence. Remember that? He said, get somebody else out here to ask questions. And then Kellerman just stayed quiet. He goes, Jim. And then the Mayweather's like, yeah, go back to Jim. Did you guys lose a little respect for Max Kellerman? Like, what would you have said if you were Kellerman? When he said, get somebody else here to
interview me. I lost respect for Max Kellerman. I said, back in '94 when he tried to make a rap song. But officially,
him and Alex calls him Marx Kellerman.
Come on.
Very simpish, no. Contrary to the old man Larry Merchant, if I was 50 years younger, I'd kick your ass.
Yeah, that's a big difference,
Look,
right?
I just have something against somebody that tries to use entertainment like sports. You could do whatever you want, and I don't have to accept it. But to use that as a platform to preach nonsense, and I just never respected that dude. First of all, he got what he that because of his family, maybe his dad. If it wasn't for his dad, he would have probably never been. Nobody would have known who he is. He probably still would have been doing for fun, like public access. That's how I became aware of it when he was on public access.
That was correct.
It seems like he's trying to control the narrative too much. Like he's on his P's and his Q's with everything he says, and one guy can't be that guy. Like, you're gonna listen to what I say and word is bond. It's not like that. The times are changing. He's kind of like in the background. He's not the main guy right now. People know that.
You know what it is, Gonzalo? He's getting eaten up by the people he shills for. In other words, like the people he sticks up for, they're killing him now. They're burning him out. That's what always happens with these people with this ideology. I don't want to get too political, but they usually get killed by their own. That's why I never commit to like just one ideology. It's just common sense, bro. If you're a good person, I stick with you. If you're not, that's that. I don't care about your race, your religion, whatever.
You said that you used to watch Kellerman during the public access. Didn't you used to prank call him?
I did. I prank call everybody on that public access thing. To be honest, I pranked everyone. Like every channel. Like, damn, I can't name all the shows, but he was one of the ones that I pranked. But I used to talk to him because he did talk boxing.
We got audio of you calling into the Max Kellerman show and pranking him.
Now lick my sweaty balls. Now lick my sweaty balls. Put your tongue up my asshole and start licking.
I mean, come on, that was out of line.
I was a kid back then. I was a kid. Come on.
Nah, that was out of line. You got a little bit out of line. A little bit.
No, I got a little carried away there.
No, I didn't insult nobody.
It's like in his own words, it's funny. The same things that you say, you might be guilty of. Is like when he said, "Oh, well, this fighter, he's winning the fight, but this other guy's controlling the story of the fight."
Oh,
well,
that was the worst.
Control the narrative too much.
Yeah,
he tries to control the narrative too much. I would rather listen to somebody that might stutter a little bit here and there, might be a little bit more disorganized with their thoughts, like an Eric Morales and an Un Más in Spanish. But then he shares like his true, genuine authenticity of a person instead of just hearing the right things for like the casuals. Because the hardcore are gonna see through that bullshit. Nah, man, you're not controlling the narrative, but we gotta listen to.
Gonzalez, everything was pre-scripted with him. He would come to a boxing match with the fucking like a binder under his arm with his like he doesn't like nothing is said that isn't pre-scripted, like because he would bring up things that didn't have anything to do with the fight. So you're saying, and then he would try to make some cursory nebulous connection. Well, this kind of reminds me of John Dempsey, and he would go into this. You know what I mean? And he was trying so hard to be like a Larry Merchant, but Larry Merchant would go 3 rounds without even uttering a word. Because, like he said, it wasn't how much you said; it's what you said. It's the best color combinators know when not to speak, and he would just constantly keep going in between rounds to try to just get, like you said, push a narrative. And it was contrived, and it was just bullshit. And everybody saw through it. But his insipid ball sucking of Andre Ward drove me bananas. Insipid. It was, you could tell, I don't know if they were friends outside the ring, but it was ridiculous.
All I know was Andre Ward's wife was getting upset about that. This is what I heard. She's like, wait a second, what the fuck's going on here? Like, why is this white guy like loving you so much?
Yeah, why is Whitey
I heard
so
they were out
close
to
to
dinner, and I heard they were out at dinner in Los Angeles, and Ward started arguing with his wife, so he stormed away from the table, and Kellerman jumped up, said, "I'll go see what's bothering him," and she had to tell him to sit down. What are you talking about? I will. So, yeah.
Yeah, what did he want to do? Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
No, I didn't insult him. I didn't insult him a little bit. No, I didn't insult nobody. Give us a drink. Give us
yeah, you insulted him a little bit.
Hey, Jimmy,
Get him some drinks over there.
Hey, Jimmy, what's right is right. You understand what I'm talking about?
Jimmy, what's right is right, Jimmy.
Yeah,
all right?
but you insulted him a little yourself, but...
Nah, Jimmy, what's right is right. I didn't insult him. I didn't insult him.
Fucking rat anyway.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Fucking rat anyway. His whole family's all rats.
He
would have grew up to be a rat.
He seems like a guy, Jimmy. He seems like a guy to me that you always want to keep him in his place because he's smart. Those type of personalities, they'll be the ones that will smile to your face and say what's up. But then again, in their mind, they're thinking this is a dumb motherfucker. Fucking like the kind and courteous ones. Like he will only respect the guys that treat him like shit. So that's what I'm saying. Or like will stick up to him because if you show him some too much respect, he'll be like he'll try to be the boss.
Listen, he's the cultural parasite. He just fucking feeds off whatever is the narrative, and he'll ride with it. He has no opinions, no structures, nothing. Like you know what I mean? I'm a rapper because that was in. You know what? This kid Eminem can do it, and then when that fails out, he tries this, and all of a sudden he gets into the niche sport of boxing. But listen, during Black Lives Matter, if it was trendy to shit on fucking Hispanics, he would have just went all in on Hispanics. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have. No, I'm just. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like he doesn't care. He'll just say whatever it is to help push the narrative. He doesn't have any true opinions. I just don't have any respect for the man. Anybody who would go out there and like prostitute themselves like that and grovel to Stephen A. Smith during Black Lives Matter. I posted another one. I don't know if it's up yet. It's really outrageous. That's the one he's talking to Smith. It's just like I can't even watch the whole thing without my teeth starting to ache.
Hey Jimmy, it's like the saying says, you know, it's like keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. But I think right now he's got too many enemies. Right now it's a legion. You can't fuck with the legion.
Well, right? listen. He's a commentator. He's a pundit. Right, but he's a sports.
You know what? You know what, Gonzalo? Even the
Let's
people he's capping for. I'm sorry. Go ahead, BDA.
I was just saying he's a sports pundit. Let's not make it out to be like he's fucking Tucker Carlson or anything.
No. He's a sports. Absolutely, he's a sports pundit. But he has like an agenda. You know, the agenda is, let me put my fucking finger up let's say put it in my tongue, wet it a little bit, and let's see where the wind's blowing. That he's that type of person. And so in his social circle, he sees what their talking points are, and he wants to fit in. He doesn't question it. Like Jimmy was saying, like he doesn't have any real opinions. His opinions are based on the crowd that he's associated with opinion. And people like that, they're nobodies. They're just fake. They're literally nobodies. This is why, like, later on in life, their wives leave them. You find out she's having an affair with like some average dude. Yeah, because he's better than him. That's why. He's average.
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys are breaking it down perfectly. I mean, what you said about him being inauthentic, hence why he was always jumping from venture to venture. Gonzalo's saying that this is a guy that, if you don't treat him like shit, he'll disrespect you. Like, it needs to be to that extreme. I mean, I agree with you guys. I agree with everything you're saying. I will say that though, maybe he'll jump into I think he's already going to start like a YouTube channel of some sort, or he's going to be on social media, and he's going to get a lot of subscribers right away. Just like Teddy Atlas, just like Mike Tyson, because he's got a name, and people want to hear what he's got to say. But most boxing fans. Was that?
He's so disliked. I remember I don't know if you remember when I told you the story at Triple G Canelo. Triple G Jacobs to Madison Square Garden, a couple of rows up behind me. Somebody yelled when they had Max Kellerman up doing the interview on the screen. Somebody yelled, that dude killed the wrong brother. And the whole crowd went, like that's the kind of vitriol. I remember thinking, God damn, people don't like this guy. If that's kind of shit people are going to yell, I'm not saying that was the right thing to say. I thought it was low rent. You know what I mean? You don't bring up his, but the point being, that's how people don't like that dude. So, yeah, and then and it all got worse after, obviously, with him.
Yeah, I remember that you told that story about somebody screaming that at him. That's too. I mean, listen, I dislike the guy as a commentator, but fucking, his brother got hammered to death. I mean, by the fucking.
This is a guy that's devoted to his ideology. Like, his thing is, one group of people are oppressed, the other group of people are oppressors, and meanwhile, the people that he capped for as the oppressed took out his brother.
All right, I'm laughing. Hold on, I'm laughing.
Look, I'm not saying you got to switch sides. Okay, what I'm saying is, look at things like, look, I anybody who's ever had a family member that was, murdered, could relate to this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Sometimes we have blind anger, but I understand, like how that feels. I understand how that feels. Yeah, I understand how that feels, but his ideology is stronger than that. God damn.
His ideology is destructive. Now, real quick, because we're running out of time here. I gotta give a shout out to Plutonium Loach for his contribution to the super chat. He says, off topic, a match that never happened: Dimitri Pidog versus Golovkin. Who would have won? Okay, we'll get back to that one. Raphael32 says Marshall versus Cruz was ugly. Shields is more entertaining. Marshall won. None of the top prospects can beat the heavyweight elite. Tucker lost. Disappointing. I mean, I don't think anybody here watches female boxing, so we'll take your word for it. But shout out to Raphael and Plutonium for their contribution with Super Chat. And real quick, you guys opened up a fucking snowstorm or a
psychology.
I mean, no, but people in the chat are saying, like, for example, Tronovan McJab says, Butler should have gotten them both. Come on, man. Larry Liston says hammer time. I mean, come on. This is too much, man.
Well, come on. It's just all in fun, guys.
Mr. BA, you should play that other video. It's even worse. It's like it encapsulates his groveling to woke, all the talking points, speaking truth to power. It's unbelievable.
All right, but let's get I think we've kicked him. Was that Gazelle?
Yeah,
26 seconds, man. You should play.
It was a little interesting because when you try to figure out what goes through a person's mind, maybe it's one of those things. He comes for money. It's just the pressure from the dad. Or the dad played all the old school fighters, murderers, bro. You gotta believe in this. Then he's trying to impress the father by promoting like these African American fighters all the time, which is, I mean, to each his own. But he's not keeping it. What is it? Partial.
Real. Yeah, he's not keeping it real. Like, hey, recognize the 70s. Recognize the brother on the panel. He keeps it real. Like I said, he gives the mayonnaise jars all the credit they deserve. So I think other
Mr.
people
BJ, real quick. To the caller's point, I was going to say, Prime Triple G, if they would have fought back around 2015, he would have beat Pyrog back then, because they were talking about Prime Triple G. That's when the kid went out with the bad back. But
That would have been nice.
Would have had G. It would have been a great fight, but I would have had my money
I
on
think
G.
Triple G beats him on strength. Yeah.
Yeah, but that guy had a killer punch. No, bam, there goes Jacobs. What, in 2 rounds?
Yep. But that's Triple G's best attribute, right? Is his chin. That motherfucker had just granite, right?
And both guys shifted, by the way.
Still has. That's right. Yeah, go ahead, BD.
They're both guys shifted. They would shift, when they that's how he got Daniel Jacobs out of there.
Costazu's son is gonna fight Triple G. Costazu's son is gonna fight Triple G. Watch, they're gonna fight.
Didn't Triple G announce his retirement?
Well, he dropped the belt.
He'll come out. He dropped the belt. Yeah, I think he dropped the belt.
Yeah, but I thought, didn't I read just the other day that it's official now? He's retired. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was just reading somebody's bullshit post.
Yeah, he should just get out. If he's not going to fight any of the young guys anymore, just get out of the fucking game. Stop holding up the division.
You're fucking over 40. Yeah. It's not even what are you going to do? I beat 41-year-old Triple G. Oh, really? Did you? Back when the guy was fucking 33, nobody would even say his name. So it's fucking, give me a break. I know Lara did, but that wasn't a fight that even had a chance to be made. First off, 154, he was with the PBC, and they weren't sending anybody, nor was HBO allowing anybody to come over from PBC. Remember, HBO's last fucking fight, they were told that you cannot, in PBC fight, they couldn't even mention Al Heyman's name in the ring. That was, told. That's how bad they had, bad taste in their mouth with what after Heyman did there. At HBO.
The guys from his generation, Jimmy, didn't want to fight him, so he fought the guys that did. Canelo, another dude with an iron chin. He still got the granite, even if he was 50. The combination between the strong punch and the chin, he coming always forward, is going to be a problem because he's always going to take what you got and dish it out. So basically, if the guys didn't want to fight him, he even started late in 2011 and controlled the division. Hey, you can't ask superhuman things from a guy that does have a superhuman chin to continue doing it until when? Because the Charlos and everybody, they didn't want to. And if people see, well, you can't count that. Because how are you going to make believe that the fights that didn't happen, that's going to go? No, but people got to understand. That's simple to figure out. And it's fucking true. That's not created. That's not hearsay.
And there's a big difference from a fight not taking place than there is from fighters literally pulling out. Like Chavez, right? Signs a contract, everything was established, pulls out of the fight. You got the fucking champion over in England saying, oh, Triple G, you don't fight him, you swerve him. You have Saunders telling fucking Chris Eubank, this guy thinks he can beat Triple G, would beat you and me on the same night. Fucking Cotto, world champion, paid him an $80,000 check. Yeah, man, don't try to force the fight. His $80,000. Like, he didn't want nothing to do with them.
And watch Jimmy. He's basically throwing this new generation a bone. And watch how everybody's going to go for the scraps now. Oh, well, there was nobody in the division when he was fighting all those challenges. No, it's just that nobody could mess with you. And that's why the division seemed like they didn't have a lot of competition. But now that he dropped the belts, watch these dudes come in to pick up the scraps. Like savages and fucking belts.
Exactly. And this is a man who's 40. Like Jimmy said, he's 40 years old. He's at the ending of his career, and a lot of these guys still didn't fight him. I go back to Charlo, 168 Charlo, 160 Charlo, whatever. Him and Andre, right? Him and Andre, they're both the same size. They're both undefeated. They're both the same age. They're in their 30s. They should be ashamed of themselves that they never fought each other, bro.
That was a great point, by the way. Yeah, I heard. That's true. Now they're going to say, recognize, they're going to say, the division's on fire. The division's on fire all of a sudden.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, but I'll say this.
And him not wanting to fight Lara at this end of his career, it wasn't, and they're going to say, well, that proved that he ducked him back then. No, it wasn't. Listen, Lara brings nothing. Obviously, Triple G was still even hanging around for the money. That's it. Fighting Lara wasn't going to make him no money. So, of course, that's why he didn't fight him now. But back then, that fight never had even a chance to be made. Sorry, BDA, I caught you on the echo that you were saying something.
That's all right. That's all right. Because I was asking on I think it was Frank Bay's channel. Check out Frank Bay's boxing channel. And I asked the questions. Hey, the narrative was that when Canelo fought Bivol, he was docking Benavides. Now Charlo is moving up to take on Canelo. By that same logic, is he docking Tim Tszyu? And lo and behold, Tim Tszyu on Instagram, and I can't put it on because I don't have the Instagram account, but Tim Tszyu posted on Instagram, he said, Canelo docked Benavides, Charlo docked Tszyu. And I'm thinking, well, if you're using the same logic that these people were using, then yeah, you could say Charlo docked Tszyu because Canelo's not even that good according to them. Canelo only fights Eurobombs. He's slow, predictable. He's afraid of Benavides and because he sucks. Well, then Jermell Charlo should have no problem fighting him, right? And that's why he's docking the real threat, which is Tim Tszyu.
I would say this. Look, I can't blame him too much for taking the Canelo fight because that's bigger money. But at the same time, you got a formidable opponent in Tim Tszyu, who, by the way, his last couple of fights, he looks scary. He looks really good. So it kind of you could throw that out there. If you're going to say Canelo ducked Benavides and to fight Bivol, which I don't see the logic in that, then you could do the same thing. Because what did Canelo do? Canelo went up in weight and fought Bivol at 175. Okay, he lost the fight, but I think that's a bigger threat. In my opinion, that's a bigger threat than a guy like Benavides. Who knows? Benavides may be better than Bivol. I don't see it right now.
You recognize, like I was telling Mr. BDA, Jimmy, look, I think the Bivol fight is already slated, and prior to the big Charlo dropping out, he had already signed the 3-fight deal. So it really, who it's going to come down to, it's Al Heyman and the Charlos, because they're already thinking of facing Benavides second or third. So if the Charlo ain't fighting, it's like a brother thing, you know. They're going to be like, okay, the other brother's going to step in for the smaller, for the bigger dude, and keep it within the family. Then Al Heyman gives them the okay, and basically saying, okay, after this fight, whatever happens, we got Canelo facing Benavides. But then they're also giving the little brother a payday. And in the end of the day, if he ain't in shape, they do believe that the brother's going to offer a good fight, right?
Gonzalo, 100% right on. He didn't sign and say, going into this, I want this guy, and that guy. That's not how it was going to go. If they were going to pay him the lion's share of whatever money they make in off his name, he was fighting who they said. Clearly, the brothers probably talked and said, listen, man, I'm coming off the fucking couch. And for real, like, he was so wrapped up with what's been going on with his wife. He was in financial straps, too. Which, his girl was tweeting about him, like, mortgage people on him about talking about he was going to lose his house, going through the divorce. This kid, Maul, and then on top of that, the level of murderous road that he didn't fight, and they're coming off over 2 years, Mel is a better opponent, even though he's coming up 154. The only thing is he hasn't gotten really punched it by like 160 or 168 fighters before, but really did Charlo? He never fought any fucking guys who punched. Montiel was one of the bigger punches he's faced. So, honestly, I think Mel is every bit competition, if not better, than Maul. And I guarantee it wasn't Canelo in there saying, all right, I don't want to fight the Maul. I want to fight Mel, guy 154. I'm sure, like you said, it was the brother stepped up, said, listen, probably talked about, like, I'm going to get fucking smoked in there, dude. I haven't fought in 2.5 years. This is probably went in and started training and just didn't feel it. I mean, that's a long time out of the ring, brother. But yes, go.
And it wasn't like Canelo was going to be the boss, him and Reynoso say, okay, he's not fighting us. We're going to go ahead and demand we fight Benavides. That's already up to Heyman because the 3-fight deal was already signed prior to the big Charlo dropping out. So they already have 2 more fights, which are already scheduled. You can't Canelo, he can't get away from that if that's what Al Heyman wants, right? That order. Now, I think it's pretty respectable and honorable for the brother to step up like that. And if they meet down the middle, like where the Charlo goes up 6 and Canelo drops 6, you're above 160, where if it takes place between 161 all the way up to 68, because 68 is only the limit to super middleweight. 61 is also super middleweight. You make it happen at halfways at 62, and you're fighting for Canelo's belts. Because I don't think that Canelo can drop to 139.9. He got to be below 154 to compete for the double undisputed, or for those titles. I mean.
Yeah, and I heard a disturbing rumor. I hope it's not true, but apparently the rumor is that the contract stipulates that if Canelo beats both Charlos, he gets a seat at Thanksgiving's dinner every year over at the Charlos, and he gets to sit at that end of the table, and he gets his first choice of prime cut from the turkey. That means the leg, the rump, all the delicious stuff. I hope that's a fucking rumor because it's disturbing. Seeing that dude there taking over the house.
Oh yeah, BDA. One more thing. You're right about that, and it might be this thing too that they talk. The brothers talk. Jimmy recognized they talked, and it's like, okay, you fight him, but if I lose, my brother Al Heyman, they talk. Okay, the Charlo is gonna have time to prepare so he can fight the other Charlo, right? And they'll bill it as like the revenge, and they'll say Canelo. Well, Canelo's already beat the Cotto brothers, Jose Cotto, Miguel Cotto, and he's beat the Smith brothers. Now he's going to slay the Charlos. And let's say if Big Charlo, the actual guy that was going to fight him, he takes revenge for his little brother. It's a win-win for everybody.
Great marketing.
Yeah. And Lukowicz already, the whole David Benavidez, that fight wasn't going to happen first. And that's clearly obvious by the way Benavidez manager, Lukowicz, was moving. The shit he was saying coming out. Yeah, listen, I think he honestly screwed that up. I think what happened, remember when Spence back in 2019 or 18 in front of Bob and Crawford saying, well, no, these are the three guys Al said I'm going to fight. And he mentioned the three, and it would have went down that way if it wasn't for his accident. So, yeah, and I think it's the same thing. I think what happened when he re-signed with the PBC for 3-fight deal instead of going to DAZN, because again, if he wanted Canelo so bad, why didn't he, go to the zone? Because then it could have definitely happened. So, anyways, he stays there, and they said, "Here's the three guys." Al probably said, "We're going to have you fight." Mentioned Morrell, Jacobs, and I forget, and then Andrade, I believe. So that's why when he said, "Well, we have a contract signed to fight Morrell," I think that's what he meant by like. Heyman told him these 3 fights, and we signed a 3-fight deal. And here's the guys you're going to fight, and I think that's why. But again, he's doing it on purpose. He's saying shit like that because it's really not a lie, but at the same token, it's not a signed contract. And that whole, well, we sent him a $50 million offer. Now the fact that looking behind the scenes, right, that Al Heyman was really working with Canelo, because that wasn't done over a weekend. Believe me, Canelo even flew out to Ohio and spent time with Heyman. Remember when Spence was saying, I actually talked to him on the phone? Yeah, they flew Canelo out there and they hung out. So the point being, that didn't happen over a fucking weekend. So the whole time that Lukowicz is saying, I sent him a $50 million offer, the reason why he had to go into a podcast and say, yeah, no, he's right, that was not the PBC or Al Heyman, that was me, and he stressed it real like that, because I'm sure Al said, dude, what are you doing? I'm working with this guy to get to sign a 3-fight deal. What the fuck you talking about? Because you could piss Canelo and be like, why are you trying to badmouth me or just put up bullshit? So that's the reason why it was just a proposal. So Lukowicz is a sneaky fuck, and the shit that he comes out and says, so I don't believe for a second they wanted that fight first, Benavidez's people. I believe they want it, but they don't want it first. They want him to age as long as they can. Clearly.
I agree with everything you said. The language, I agree with everything you said. The language, though, could have watched it a little bit more, just a little bit. We're going to go to a phone call here, last of the afternoon before we go. Let's go to
on a Sabbath, too.
Exactly, man. Come on. 817, you're in the air. 817, what's on your mind?
Loser.
Hey, you guys can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. 817, what's up?
Yeah, this is off topic and it's pretty late, but I just wanted to call and just say how pissed off and disappointed I am in Josh Taylor. Ever since he lost that fight, I've been disillusioned with the sport of boxing, also disillusioned with fans, but, he should have never lost to an idiot like Teofimo. Teofimo, he seems to get these guys in the right time, like Lomachenko with the shoulder injury and Josh Taylor just being inactive, not really living the life of a boxer. As soon as he defeated Jose Ramirez, which was probably his best win, I would say, he defeated Jose Ramirez, he acted like he had reached the pinnacle of boxing and just decided he wasn't really going to do much. He decided to go party, drinking, doing all this other stupid crap, and then it showed in the Jack Catterall fight. But at the same time, I don't agree with everyone talking about how Jack Catterall exposed him and beat him, because Jack Catterall, he was fighting dirty. He was fighting dirty. He hit Josh Taylor when Josh was on his knee. That should have been a disqualification. So I kind of get sick and tired of people saying he lost that fight or whatever. But what pisses me off more is that by losing to Teofimo Lopez, he didn't just lose to them. He lost to all these idiots that made these stupid narratives about how he got a gift decision against Regis Prograis, how he got a gift decision even against who was that other guy? Is it Ivan Baranchik, the guy that he knocked down multiple times, and people are trying to say that he lost. You had that one clown, I think his name was Precise Presenter or whatever, that fucking idiot. He was trying to say that, Josh got a gift decision in that fight. I mean, what a fucking idiot. No, he did not. He beat that guy. He dominated him. There's a certain sect in a YouTube boxing community that I used to like these guys, but, it's like, the guys like Precise, Nordic Warrior, these type of guys, they're the kind of guys that they always make these dumb conspiracy theories about Canelo Alvarez and how his fights are fixed and they're fake. These guys, they get really stupid, but what pisses me off the most is that a lot of them are just these fair-weather fans. Instead of saying that the reason Josh Taylor lost against Teofimo Lopez is because he didn't live the lifestyle, he was inconsistent, he started fighting once a year, he just didn't have that training going. He didn't have that drive motivation. Instead, they're now starting to say, well, he was always a hype job. He lost against Regis. He lost against Ivan. There was even one guy, I think Lee Boxing Talk or something. He said that he had it a draw against Jose Ramirez, even with the 2 knockdowns. I'm like, these guys are just stupid fair-weather fans, just to say that that fight was a draw. I mean, give me a freaking break. So I'm disillusioned with the sport of boxing. I'm disillusioned with boxing fans because of all this. So I hadn't really been keeping up with it. I just saw you guys were live, and I wanted to call in and let y'all know that.
90 seconds. All right, caller. I appreciate your call. We got to move on here because the phone lines are about to close in a minute and a half. But thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right? Take it easy out there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Should have asked his name. Caller, are you still there? Ah, shit, he hung up. All right, let's go to another call before the phone lines close here. And then I'll let you go, Gonzalo. 416, you're on the air. 416, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I saw I know you have your own
60 seconds
set up, BDA, but you had a picture of Max Kellerman wearing a Kango and a 10-karat gold neck chain.
I did.
Can you put that up for the rest of the show? Because that was fucking hilarious. I mean, it was Max Kellerman. He looked like a cheap version of MC Search from Third Base. It was pretty awesome.
I think if they would have collaborated back in the early 90s, they would have been a hit. They would have been a smash. I believe you're referring to their video here. That's him and his brother, his late brother, Sam Kellerman.
Yeah, put it up and pause it, man, because that shit should commemorate his duration of like putting garbage on fucking the boxing network, man. And his voice will be forever commemorated as Jesus. He attempted to rap.
Yeah, he did, and he kind of looks a little bit like what's his name, Charlie Zelenoff. He looks like Charlie Zelenoff. I mean, but without the balls.
No, man, he just looks like a really like a cancer patient just gone. Right. I don't know, man.
All right, I mean, I get that we want to criticize the guy for his boxing and everything, but we're going too far. We're just kicking him while he's down now at this point. Well, anyway, listen, caller.
No, but if you put up that shot of him with stupid Kango and that 10-karat gold chain, that was priceless, and you keep that up for the rest of the show. My gosh, I think it'll commemorate approaching like July 4th. It'll be like phenomenal.
Yeah, well, next episode we'll leave that up for the duration of the show. All right, thank you, caller. Thank you for your call. Call back next time. Beauty. All right. Yeah, hey, listen, we aim to please over here at BD Boxing, so we'll do that next time. Gonzalo, you were gonna say something about the previous caller about Josh Taylor and the.
My bad. The second to the last caller. No, I agree with the whole thing of Josh Taylor losing the hunger. And I know he's bringing this back. It was kind of like out of place. But regarding him, he's always on some sneaky shit. You can't blame Catterall. And Marco Antonio Herrera always talks about it. In un round más. Hey, man, when I fought Kidney to McKinney, these motherfuckers, Nassim Hamed, these dudes were fucking. They were kind of like assholes and always fighting dirty, trying to pull some sneaky shit. And I was gonna do that shit right back because that's what my dad told me to do. Because the day you bow down and you lose your focus, these dudes are gonna catch you like Josh Taylor, Jose Carlos Ramirez on the break, something like that. And then later, all it takes is one punch. So yeah, Jack Catterall, like Recognize was saying, one day you lose your hunger, you're gonna fight somebody that is hungry and it's gonna come get you. And that's fair too. Same thing goes for Jared Anderson, the John Rices of the world. They're gonna make their opportunity count. And with Josh Taylor, that's his bag. But let me tell you, Catterall got screwed over. He was gonna get his because that's how Josh Taylor fights too, dirty. And that's all I have to say about that. No, but everything else about him losing the hunger, yeah, that's what happens too when you get married and stuff. But anyhow.
Well, you know what it was too. We were talking about that before the fight. Like Teofimo Lopez is not good coming forward. If you don't give him an opening, he cannot create the opening. Josh Taylor, on the other hand, he had all the attributes to box from the outside, but guess what? He can't box from the outside. Not really. He doesn't have a consistent jab. He only has that left uppercut to the body that he loads up on. And he was working early on against Teofimo Lopez, but then he could figure Teofimo Lopez out and Teofimo Lopez was like, all right, I don't have to chase this guy. He's coming at me. And it ended up working in his favor. And, you got to give Teofimo Lopez credit for pulling the win out when a lot of people thought that he was mentally done. So that's why I was suspicious of Jared Anderson, too. It's like, this dude, he's crying in front of the cameras. He's talking about his heart's not into it, but I'm not going to let that factor into the fight. But he apparently did a little bit. So anyway, could go both ways sometimes. That being said, fellas, we do have to go. We've been on here for about almost 3 hours. Time to wrap it up. We'll be back next week. Also, I gotta do a second renaissance to cover the chaos that's ensuing right now in France. I don't know if you guys saw, but they even let the animals out of the zoo, apparently. Fucking lions and zebras and elephants running all over the streets. They're using like makeshift fireworks to shoot it at the police. Now they got guns, too. They're getting into firefights.
Well, belt-fed machine gun. There's a video out with two kids walking down, Syrians with belt-fed machine guns, like the Saw type thing that Gonzalo used to fucking shoot.
Things are getting very interesting in France.
Out of control. Yep.
Well, you say out of control. You say out of control. I say interesting, spicy, like Gonzalo would say. Things are getting spicy,
zesty.
Yes. All right. Well, listen, fellas.
Hit that like on the way out, though, guys.
Yes, hit the like on the way out. Hit the like. Iceman says that's where CERN 6666 is. Oh, I thought that was in Switzerland. Well, I mean, Switzerland, technically, that's France. They're all the same. Bunch of frogs over there. All right, listen, I want to give a shout out to Gonzalo for joining. Jimmy, Recognize. Shout out to you, fellas. Everybody that called in. Everybody that donated the super chat. Thank you guys for supporting us. You keep this channel going. And everybody that listened and hit the like as well. I'm talking about Vince Vegas, Grim Reaper, Gerald Draymond, the Gucci Berserk, Iceman, Little Mike Tyson, Punch Out, Captain Ivan Drago, Jump Tube, Skull Kid 25. I know the Don was here. Shout out to the Quags. I Am Your Leader in the house as well. Shout out to I Am Your Leader. Who else was here? Raphael, who called in. Protectorate General. Hulk Mode 365 days. Super Sardonic. If I forgot anybody, The Bray, Del Boy, aka Disturbed Reality, shout out to him as well. Go check out his non-boxing channel as well, and his boxing channel, Del Boy Boxing. Blue Collar Sports TV. And Stray G there as well. If I forgot anybody, it's because we gotta go, fellas. Shout out to you. Thank you for joining us. Catch you on the next one, fellas. Take it easy.
I need BDA Boxing.